Oh.
All right, I guess, Mr. Manager, we'll go ahead and get rolling.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, at this time, the president of our Sister Cities Association is going to give council a brief update on the actions and the affairs of our Sister Cities Association.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I'm Maria Weissenseal, President of Sister Cities Association of Virginia Beach. Lots of familiar faces. Ms. Hammond, Dr. Hammond, we miss you on Sister Cities. I remember you used to come all the time. Vice Mayor, you did a wonderful job Friday night for us. Thank you. It was last Friday, not the past Friday. Yeah. Mayor Dyer, City Manager Patrick Duhaney, thank you for having us this afternoon. I'm just going to go and stick to the facts and start with the presentation that I brought. And towards the end, I'll take questions. So as you know, Sister Cities Association of Virginia Beach, we have 6 active sister cities. Can anyone name them based on the flags?
I think you got more coming too, right?
Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it. So this is actually the mission and the motto, promoting peace, prosperity with citizen diplomacy. We actually practice diplomacy, economic development, and education, believe it or not. And we do follow the guidelines of Sister Cities International, which at that point, I just have a quick question. I'm new to the presidency, and as you know, we had a former director who kept all the records and was in line with all the guidelines necessary. I believe there's a yearly fee for Sister Cities International. In the past, the city of Virginia Beach, maybe Amanda, I'm not sure who pays that. I think we're about due to pay it. I don't mind paying it from our account, but I'm just so in the dark. I don't know where it came from, where it goes, where's the bill? I'm not sure if anybody knows that. So that's a question I have.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'm getting from the budget staff that the city pays it, so we'll pay it. I just send the invoice to me or Melissa Zabitas, and we'll take care of it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We are, ever since the end of the pandemic. Oh, okay. Since the end of the pandemic, we've become very proactive. We have a proactive agenda. We have a new face to Sister Cities of Virginia Beach. We're very excited about it. We're funding scholarships. We're maintaining our international relationships. We're fundraising. We've hosted incoming delegations and are hosting more. It's very early in the year. It's only March, so we've got a lot to come in 2024. We now have active liaisons with most of the other city entities. We have a liaison to economic development. That's myself. Councilman Berlucci is actually our liaison with the city council. And World Affairs Council, we have liaison, Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Arts Commission. Oh, by the way, I have with me the former president, Carolyn Garrett. She's the former president. She's actually been such a fantastic mentor and helping me along the hiccups that we may run into. And she's also the former art commissioner. And thank you for everything you do for Sister Cities, Carolyn. We have active committees. Dedicated board members. I'm so proud of our new board members. They're all active since 2023. That's where we kind of came back, January 2023. And we have about 15 new members. They're all active, they're all dedicated, and they all can't wait for the next activity. In 2023, we've had some stumbles because we just came out of a pandemic. We did nothing in 2022. We came back new and refreshed, and just bam. Weiblingen, Germany. Our representatives from Weiblingen, Germany came to see us, and we hosted them. Actually, about this time last year, it was when we started and we came back. We're international networking with the Virginia Beach Economic Development. For example, they hosted something international. I think there were delegates from Brazil, Spain, France. There was a whole delegation also about this time of year. We actually teamed up with them and had the international networking. Miyazaki, Japan, everybody knows Dr. Hamada. He brought a delegation in July. We went to Miyazaki Garden and we hosted them all over Virginia Beach. And Ards North Down, they were so dormant. We had no idea we even had a city with Northern Ireland. And the committee, which included Carolyn and Jessica Windish, and reached out, found our counterparts. They came, we hosted them all over Virginia Beach. Carolyn made a really nice itinerary for you to see what all we did with them. Do you want to pass that out so they see just how active we were with when we hosted? Do you have them? Oh, I thought you brought a bunch, sorry. Okay, yeah, so that, yeah. We actually took them all over the city. We had meetings with the different city services. They ended up making connections, and I believe economic development just went back, I want to say in February this year, went and visited, had a visit with them. So that's been a successful delegation when they came. We've transformed and elevated our scholarship. We've been doing the scholarships for probably since 2016, maybe before that. We've elevated them by selecting a citizen in Virginia Beach who we believe gave back to the city of Virginia Beach. It was our first time we did it. Tom Barton Jr. was the named scholarship for 2024. We just awarded that scholarship 2 weeks ago. And by elevating it, we've gave the scholarship meaning. It used to be just sister cities, here's the scholarship, and we're done. The student performed, okay, here's your scholarship, and we're done. This time we actually gave it meaning. It has a name. Again, this year it was Tom Barton Jr. Scholarship. And it has a lot of meaning. We actually had a ceremony to name the scholarship. And from that ceremony, it became a fundraiser. So at the same time, we are raising our own funds. We're very grateful for the close to just under $50,000 that City of Virginia Beach gives us. We're very grateful. However, as active as we are, that doesn't go too far, especially when we have amazing students competing for these scholarships and they're winning. So we do have our own fundraisers. We managed to raise probably $14,000 the night that we named the scholarship, and that was December 14th, 2023. You all were invited, just to let you know. 2024, sticking with our proactive agenda, we did have the Youth Ambassador event. It was very successful. We have amazing Virginia Beach City schools. Virginia public schools are amazing. Later on in the presentation, you'll see just a few of the students. Actually, you have the program, and we'll go over that in a second. That was the Youth Ambassador event. It was wonderful. The Cherry Blossom Festival is coming up March 20, actually this weekend. And we're very active with the Cherry Blossom Festival because of our Miyazaki City relationship in Japan. We're hoping that to turn into a fundraiser as well. The Parks and Rec were gracious enough to give Sister Cities a booth, and we have a board member who is actually going to donate her time and her talent doing henna tattoos, very popular. So go ahead and stop by the Sister City booth and get your henna tattoo and donate the money, and it'll come back to Sister Cities. Jackalope Festival, that is coming up May 31st. I believe it was June 14th. I think they backed it up and are coming earlier. Jackalope Festival. We are hosting the VIPs from Jackalope. It was mentioned probably about a year ago to try to do a sister city with Montreal. It's been difficult. However, the committee has made really, really good contacts within Montreal, including the VIPs from Jackalope. I'm not sure, City Council or the City of Virginia Beach, however, whoever gets, or Convention Visitors Bureau, who brings Jackalope in. However, Sister Cities actually made the contact and will be hosting the VIPs around town as well, and hopefully get a smoother relationship to make Montreal a sister city. Scholarship honoree naming event, that is going to happen November 14th this year. You are all invited. Details to follow. It's booked, it's confirmed. We are waiting to confirm 1 out of 2 candidates. Very secretive. Our projection for the rest of 2024, we are trying to do an international festival. Venue is very difficult for us, and that's going to be one of my questions at the end of my session. Venues have been very costly for us. We are a part of the sister city, a part of the city of Virginia Beach, and like I said, the venues have been quite costly, so that's a struggle for us. Although in the end, we raise the money, but it goes back to the venue. A beer festival, kind of like an Oktoberfest in honor of our sister city, Weiblingen, Germany. Art gallery, song and dance review, and storytellers. That is an idea that came from our youth ambassador. They're all amazing artists. If you take a look at the brochure we passed, this is the winner. And her name is, I'm sorry, I don't remember it right off the top of my head, Miles Dillahunt. If anyone came to that event, you saw that. You saw Miles, amazing young woman. She was so excited when she won. But anyway, this is her piece of art. We set out a theme for the artist. It goes with the Sister Cities International theme, and they come out with brilliant artwork. And we've had quite a few students this year participate, and all their art is on your first page. Amazing students. These are Virginia Beach students. We don't go outside of Virginia Beach. Philanthropy. We try to do philanthropy. We're working on something with the Centera Hospital right now, kind of, still in the early stages, but we're really excited about it. Let me go back. Okay, youth, of course. We, just to go back a little bit, I know when I was just a board of director on Sister Cities, we struggled with a reputation that called us a travel club. We're not a travel club. If we were a travel club, I'd probably be in Moss, Norway right now. No, we're not a travel club at all. I'm not sure how that reputation started. There are delegation visits, but those are made under the lead of economic development. We've changed that to follow the lead of economic development. Or, for example, Miyazaki, Japan, if they have something and they need their sister city a delegation to go, if we're formally invited, that's when we travel. We don't just pick up and travel. However, we've managed to forget that travel club reputation, and we are really focused on youth. We are starting a Sister Cities Association of Virginia Beach youth group, and just another thing to remind you how the face of Sister Cities of Virginia Beach has changed. When the youth get involved, you're a cool organization to belong to. So we have in our monthly meetings representatives from MILA, Mayor, the students from MILA come to our meeting. They're very excited. We ask them what they think if we start a youth group. They're so excited about it. With that youth group, we will get them engaged in our diplomacy. If any of you haven't met our exiting ambassador, Dorian Muncie, has anyone had the opportunity to hear him speak or just get to know him? He's amazing. He's probably 15 now, but he became the ambassador when he was 14 years old. You would think that he is running the United Nations. He's an amazing young man and going places. Just to let you know, we are focused on youth. The youth are coming to us, and we're really excited about that. And we have a really engaging program planned for them. This is very new, but they are coming. It's going to be led by Dorian with, of course, a supervisor from our board of directors, one of the teachers, or myself, or Carolyn. But we're excited about that program. And if you have any questions, please do. Just want to let you know how involved we've become. Again, in my past relationship with Sister Cities, I was trying to do the development. It was very hard. It was very difficult to get sister cities. Well, why sister cities? Who's sister cities? What are sister cities? Am I giving you money to travel? The answer to giving me money to travel is no. And just to let you know how far we've come since the end of 2022. We have really, really good sponsors that we're proud of. They're proud for us to show their name, and you can see quite a few of them on the board right now. We can't thank the sponsors enough. There we go. Those are the top students of Virginia Beach. The winner of the 2024 ambassador, you'll meet her tonight as well. That's Aubrey Swain. She is actually with the Governor's School of Arts as well. She goes to Cox. The second runner-up, amazing, Alia, and I forgot her last name too, but she's an amazing young woman, and she goes to Princess Anne. And the first two sung their hearts out, and I'm sure it was difficult for the judges. They just sang and sang, and it was wonderful. Then we have Elias. He's with Cox as well. He made a speech promoting his background, which came from Moss, Norway, one of our sister cities. And there's our star, Dorian Muncie, 14 years old, and he can run the United States. I just want to thank you for your time today. I will take questions, and I do have a few questions of my own. So should I do my questions first, or do y'all have questions?
Obviously, you know, I was there for your gala and the youth ambassador, and it was an incredible event. And Dorian gave a speech that would just knock your socks off. It was so well thought out, and the way he tied everything together and using our beautiful landscape of Virginia Beach was truly amazing. Everyone here should hear that speech. And Aubrey Swain, our latest ambassador, was amazing. She's amazing. We're going to be very, very lucky in her. Just wonderful. And all the students, the Badawi family sat right behind us, and they were really, really incredible. This is a wonderful thing, what you're doing, and making us a globally international city that's looking after the youth. You know, I'm all about the kids. So I want to thank you for what you and your board's doing. You really are remarkable.
Thank you.
Well said. Michael.
Thank you, Mayor. Maria, I want to thank you for being here. Carolyn, it's great to see you. And I just want to also join the Vice Mayor, and I know everyone really, in expressing appreciation for all of the work that you all do in the Virginia Beach community and really all across the globe. As the liaison to the Sister City Association, is one of the greatest assignments that I've been able to be part of as a member of this council. And I'm very honored and grateful for that opportunity. And it's just been, so through that role, I've just witnessed just an incredible amount of programming, youth engagement, arts, culture. I've participated in 2 visiting mayors and their delegations, one from Northern Ireland and one from Miyazaki, Japan. And I'm fully confident, after participating in these with you and working to support you, that the work that Sister Cities Association of Virginia Beach, and by extension, I think all sister cities are doing, is going to create a more peaceful global community, more peaceful world. But in addition to that, a world that is enriched by our cultural and educational exchanges and understanding. And it's just really wonderful. So I think that we really need to make sure that we're giving the sister city all of the resources. And I don't just mean money. I mean all of the different ways that the city can fully get behind what the Sister Cities Association is doing, because they're working with Virginia Beach residents and students and connecting what we do with cities all around the globe. So you have my full support and gratitude, and I look forward to continuing to work with you.
Thank you.
Hey, anyone else? Yeah, Amelia.
Just want to say I know I miss you too.
But you can't be the liaison.
I cannot see. There's one reason why. But the other part is I look at you like the phoenix, coming from the ashes and rising again. And Maria, you sound so excited.
I am.
And brave, because you have questions for us.
I do have questions, yeah.
So thank you all for all you do. And sometimes I will stop and visit again.
Please. We usually meet in OPA. We try to switch between Hive and OPA.
All right.
And we're now meeting once a month. It used to be quarterly. We weren't getting anything done quarterly. As I said, we're staying to this proactive agenda. And we have 4 students we have to support for when they send us their university. So we're out there raising money as well. Thank you.
Hey, before my comments, what questions do you have?
Okay, my questions are probably more administrative for us to help us. We've been doing a good job budgeting and staying within the budget to have the fundraisers to make the funds that we need. So of course, I would like to ask for a raise if we can. The city has been giving us very close to $50,000 a year, and that's probably been since 2016, and that's how we've been managing it. We have a really good treasurer, but it does get difficult. Our previous director, graciously went into director emeritus, and she was awarded some funds at the end of, kind of like a retirement. So quite a bit of funds went to Ruth Frazier as a thank you and as a retirement compensation from Sister Cities and everything she did for Sister Cities. If there's room in the budget, we'll take it. If I could write a formal letter, I'd be glad to. I think we're about to get our first half of the 49,000. I think it should be coming out very soon. We get it twice a year. And that's probably about close to 24,000, just under 25,000. Very difficult, but we're managing and we do it. The next question I have, are there venues in the city available to us?
What kind of venue?
For example, okay, so we used Mocha, very, very costly. I mean, are there like any venues where we can have our events? 2 years ago, maybe just before the pandemic, actually, we were able to use the Zyder, and I think they only charged us cleaning fees because they said we can use it because we're part of the city. Are we part of the city where we can use the venues that are available to the city?
Let me put it, Patrick.
Mr. Mayor, I think it's best somebody in my office will reach out to Maria to discuss these options.
Yeah, there might be, we can get together, Michael and I, and Patrick can get together and work this out. there might be some possibility, but, that's something that we can discuss.
Okay.
And we're going to have the introduction to the confrontation with our budget realities very shortly here today.
Okay.
But we'll certainly keep you in on the loop.
Well, I appreciate that. And forgive my questions. We just don't know where to go to ask. So now I know. And
Okay,
I'll make a,
We'll be communicating with you.
okay.
But, let me just say, having, been involved with Sister Cities for quite a while now, what a remarkable organization. And I think that really helps define, the giving community that the city of Virginia Beach is, trying to build bridges, not only, within our region, but in an international spectrum. And it's really, but I think one of the most important things is what I see is the student interaction. And we had the opportunity to meet a group of German students at the Filipino Cultural Center, I believe was, last year, and having the student exchange program and everything. And, and that's it, like Michael said, the appreciation of different cultures. And just think, when you come into my office, at the very front of my desk, you will see the plaque of this, of the seal of the city, Borough of Arts in North Down from Ireland, that was given to the city, and that will be part of the mayor's office from now on. But, thank you for what you do. And, there's going to be so many organizations out there like yours doing great things. We'll figure out the best we can possibly, can do to, help provide you some pathway success. And then we can even also encourage other sponsorships and things of that way that will help you with the path. But thank you both. God bless you for what you do.
We appreciate it. There is a delegation coming tonight from Weiblingen, Germany. About 16 students are coming to this session tonight. So,
Okay,
and you'll
great.
meet them as well. And you're going to meet Aubrey this evening. So,
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Okay.
for what you do.
thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you for your time. Thank you. You want to ask her to sing? Let's, yeah. If you ask her to sing, maybe she'll. She does. She does. Yeah, we're real proud of her. We're anxious to see where she's going to go. Yeah.
Okay, great. Hey,
Thank
good to
you.
see you, folks.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
everybody.
All right, moving on.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, at this time, we're going to get the quarterly overview of the flood protection program. We'll be joined by the chair of the Flood Protection Oversight Board, Jeff Waller, and also Jacobs Engineering Program Manager, Alicia Pica.
Okay, welcome.
Hello, how are you all today?
Doing good, thank you.
I'm Jeff Waller. I'm the chairman of the Flood Prevention Bond Referendum Oversight Board. The Flood Prevention Bond Referendum includes 7 master projects with 21 projects identified in the 2021 bond referendum, along with 10 support projects and 10 other projects. The resolution creating the Oversight Board calls for a report from the board every 3 months. I was last here in December, so this is the 3rd month. City Council has appointed 2 non-voting student members to the board, Isabel Chow from Tallwood High School and Torrance Spreader from Kellam High School, both appointed through June of 2025. And Maria just said, hey, when youth join your organization, you're a cool organization, so I guess we've moved up in the world. And we're excited to welcome these 2. Since the last report in December, the board has received staff briefings from Tiffany Russell and Sam Wells on the Flood Prevention Program Communication Plan, Bill Haggerty of Public Works on the Sandbridge Road, New Bridge Road intersection project. This project, along with future improvements to the marsh restoration in Back Bay, will help reduce flooding in this area. Katie Shannon of Public Works Engineering on the grant application process, which the city's had success. And most recently, Melanie Coffey of Public Works Engineering on the regulatory requirements and water quality. You should have the February status report included in that, construction activities, and I think they're all in District 3. Windsor Woods Tidegate Project by the Red Crane, Bow Creek Stormwater Park Phase 1, South Plaza Trail and Presidential Boulevard drainage improvements, and Old Forge Road and Red Lion Road drainage improvements in Windsor Woods. Also in there, the city has made a new video about the Lake Windsor Tide Gate project. The city has issued a notice to proceed on the design build bundle for the Windsor Woods, Princess Anne Plaza, and the lakes, this is huge. It's a big step forward. And the city of Virginia Beach has issued a notice to proceed for the SeaTac neighborhood drainage improvement construction contracts. Coming up for the board, we hope to, when the weather turns nicer, take a field trip out and see the Lake Windsor Tide Gate project and also the Bow Creek Stormwater Park. Recently, this month, the Virginia Lakes and Watershed Association had their annual conference. City of Virginia Beach made 4 presentations at this conference, including 3 from the flood prevention program. And a City of Virginia Beach employee, Kayode Aranciola, was voted in as a director for that association. I've said this previously, we'll advise city council members when the topic of our monthly board meeting is in your district, so you can attend if you'd like to. And if you have a community meeting and there's flood prevention program interest, if you ask, we'll have somebody come and attend that meeting. City's been awarded $42 million in states and federal grants, and will submit soon on another $65 million in applications. The board meets, it's open to the public. We meet the second Tuesday of every month, 2 o'clock at Town Center. We're open to the public. We have a website accessible from the Ripple Effect website. Our email address is posted there. And all members of the board look forward to continuing our work with the city.
Oh,
So,
right.
any questions of me?
Hey, Barbara.
Well, of course, if you're going to be meeting the second Tuesday at 2 o'clock, that lets any of us out.
It's second Thursday, I'm sorry if that makes a difference.
Okay.
Second Thursday, I'm sorry.
Okay, second Thursday then. I have to tell you that I had to answer a email this week that said, well, I understand the marsh restoration project has been canceled. Unfortunately, we're not getting the word out to the public about what's going on with any of these projects. And I think I've been asking since the beginning for some kind of public meeting, particularly with Blackwater, about the program to raise Tonga Ferry Road and how in the world that's even being looked at. I don't think we have to wait to bring the public into any of these. Our public is wanting to know what's going on, and these that are having some actual activity, maybe it's something they can see, but if we're still just in talking stage, and I think all 4 of them in District 2 are in talking stage, I guess this year the marsh restoration is supposed to get underway somewhat with improvements to Ship's Cabin Road and getting ready to be able to do something out on the bay next year. But we're not doing a very good job of getting the word out to the public about what's going on. And like I say, that intersection of Newbridge and Sandbridge Road, we could easily have a session with the folks in that area about just what the plan is. I guess there's a design, but I know there's got to be acquisition of property in order to use federal property, which they don't get rid of very easily. So I'm really looking for some public input and some public information. This, we're talking about it, just isn't flying with people.
Okay, Worth.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilwoman Henley, you bring up a good point that as liaison to this committee, that we do talk about how we, this oversight committee, can promote and educate the public on what is going on a daily, weekly, monthly basis on all the projects. And I think we do need to engage city staff and this committee and each of us around this table on how we can effectively do this. Because we've got another 8-9 years to go before all these projects are engineered and started construction and completed. So that's a good point that I think we struggle in our conversations when we do meet monthly on how we can, as a city, communicate better. So Chairman Waller, you might want to speak to that as well, but we need to find better ways to do this.
And this is Leisha Jacobs Engineering. Jacobs prepares a pretty detailed monthly report of 24 pages long this month. And they've broken down activity by district in dollar amount, and then breakdowns of what are the status of each job. So that's available for anybody to look at. And we can work with members of council, city staff, and the board can. So if you're having I think everybody has community meetings, and that may be one that, what can we talk about that's in my district? And we can get people there that have detailed knowledge and speak of it.
Well, I would like to have something down at Creed's pretty soon, as soon as you can get something together to talk about that Ponga Ferry Road project, because that was in the CIP before it was a bond referendum project. I think it got slipped back by being a bond referendum issue. And, folks want to know, are we really talking about doing these kinds of things or not? So I'm not getting very good public response, we'll put it that way.
Okay, Michael, okay, Worth and then Michael.
Just want to add on, so Public Works will come to the community meetings. They've come to two of mine to talk about projects in my district. So I would encourage each of us to ask Public Works to attend your community meetings to update projects in your respective districts.
Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, Michael.
Thank you, Mayor. I served District 3, which was the most substantially impacted by Hurricane Matthew in 2016. And I just want to share that I have a somewhat different perspective, not to diminish the perspective of any of the other voices that you heard around the table, but I think the city and the project managers are doing an outstanding job in District 3 of engaging with the public to let them know what's coming, what's going on, what to expect while construction is underway, and how all these systems will work together to mitigate the impact of recurrent flooding in District 3 into the future. And you've done such a good job that I actually, as a council member, received very little requests for clarification about what's happening and where it's happening. And I think that's a tribute to your work, because there are many, many times as a council member that I receive, honest and I welcome them. People want to know what's going on. And I think you all have done such a good job about letting citizens know what's going on in their neighborhood that I'm really not getting a lot of that type of feedback. And it's also preparing people for what to expect while projects occur. Every day I see construction that is underway on Presidential Boulevard, for example, and I think that it's completely disruptive, for the folks in that neighborhood. But from every indication I have, they're very happy to see that construction going on because they know the long-term positive benefits. There's a really nice sign, the ripple effect sign, and I know Vice Mayor was very active, and I joined her in that and advocating for the placement of signs to let people know what's the name of the project, what's going on with the project, and where they can go to learn more. And I think that's answered a lot of questions, because every time you drive down South Boulevard, I pass by that sign and I see people looking at it, and I think it directs traffic to that website, the Ripple Effect website. So I'm not in any way diminishing some of the other feedback that you've received, but I also do want to say on behalf of myself and in my observations that I do think there's quite a bit of transparency been invested in, and that was one of the things that I know we tasked Tiffany Russell with, right, when she came on as communications director, was to really do a very robust program to let people know what's happening with these, bond referendum flood protection programs. And I think we're doing a pretty good job, at least in my neighborhood. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the update. Appreciate it. These are very informative, and it's great to see the progress on some of these things that have been completed, including a couple in our district, as you know. Well, at least one I know of flood protection program project with the Pleasure House Lake pump station. So, but I would also echo Councilman Berlucci's comments in terms of the accessibility, availability of our public works staff to explain and to engage with residents, to come to town halls, like Councilman Remick said, but also literally to come on site. And, I thanked this group of individuals, and copied the manager, but I'd like to recognize them publicly and just say thank you to our LJ Hansen, our Public Works Director, to Tony Utterbach, our city engineer, and to Michael Tippin, who I believe is our stormwater administrator. Is that right?
That's correct.
And to Matt Richardson, who's a project manager who came out, I think it was last week or the week before, to meet with a handful of residents who had some concerns about an upcoming flood protection project in their neighborhood, to answer questions, to hear their concerns, and spent a considerable amount of time and effort in doing so. So I wanted to say thank you publicly to that group of people, and I know that we received an update, and I know this isn't necessarily FPP related, but the dredging, the canal dredging, I think we received an update maybe 2 weeks ago about, I think we increased 300 additional miles of canal dredging and ditch dredging that we haven't been able to fund before because of some of the ways that we were able to reprioritize, reallocate funding to do that. So graphical displays of that nature would be really helpful, I think, instead of just the bottom line, the miles and dollar figures, but being able to graphically display for residents where these additional efforts are being made, I think would be helpful. But otherwise, I echo those comments that I just heard in terms of the level and the efforts being made in terms of outreach.
Okay, anyone else at this point? Let me just say, Hurricane Matthew was a game changer for the city. It changed our course, it changed our direction, it changed our philosophy, it changed our priorities. Stormwater became the #1 priority in this city, followed closely by public safety, schools, and attainable housing. But it's still a priority. And if we take a look at the magnitude of the challenge, the complexity of the challenge, I really think we're doing a remarkable job. And Mr. Dehaney and I had some conversations, and I believe since Matthew and over the last few years, I think we hired 49 new people, to confront the problem, 49 new FTEs, prior to which, in the CIP, stormwater was 9% of CIP, and now it's 25% of CIP, and that's not even including the referendum. And our next presentation is going to be, some of the fiscal challenges we're going to have, because as Mr. Dehaney articulated, our $500 million bond referendum is now over $1 billion. But what didn't leave is our commitment, to making sure that these projects happen over the years. And that's going to be our reinvestment into the commitment that we did make, and finding out and creating those new revenue streams that's going to pay for a lot of this stuff. But all things being considered, when you take a look at Michael's project in his district with a converted golf course into not only a stormwater solution problem, but turning it into a amenity that's going to bring significant value to the people, not only in his district, but to Virginia Beach. But once again, confronting the magnitude and the complexities of the task ahead, I honestly believe that we are, in fact, stepping to the plate. Thank you very much for the update. Mr. Dehaney.
Mr. Mayor, Jacob still needs to give the program update on the specific projects.
Okay.
Mr. Waller was
Okay.
Yep.
Not a problem.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Well, you teed me up really good, Mr.
All
Mayor.
right, you got it.
So we're going to get right into it. I'm Alicia Pica with Jacobs Engineering, and I'm here to give you my quarterly update. And I was going to start with the question that the mayor and some of you asked Mr. Dehaney, what have we done since Matthew? So that's my first topic on my presentation today, so it's very timely. But I wanted to talk, before I tell you what we did, I wanted to kind of remind you that Matthew was a very unique event. It wasn't just a really bad hurricane. It was a hurricane that followed two pretty significant tropical storms within a very short time period. So you had kind of the worst situations. It was like the perfect storm movie, it was really bad. So it was a 1,000-year storm event. So that's not something that happens obviously in any of our lifetimes normally. So that really caused a lot of challenges. But what we've done since then, as the mayor just said, we have increased the stormwater and flood protection program capital CIP from 9% to 25%. And that's also going from about $250,000 to, $1 billion. So there's a lot of investment being planned in the next several years, as you're all aware of it. And we're going to go through that today. But we've done more than just increase the money. There's a couple different things I want to talk here. And you have these slides in front of you. I apologize if it's hard to read off the screen. But this bottom half of the screen really talks about programmatically, what has the city done since Matthew? And there's several things. As you mentioned, we added 49 positions throughout stormwater engineering, created the engineering center and operations teams. You've done those in different years, and I've shown you the years that each of those full-time equivalents were added. We've also done things like got other funding. We got the ARPA funding program going, and 40 million of that is assigned to the stormwater operations group who are doing lake dredging and neighborhood improvements. We've established a governance team for the flood protection program that Mr. Duhaney chairs with Mr. Hansen, and we meet every month and we talk about what's actively going on, what are the challenges our staff are having, and we get direct decision making immediately. So amongst cross-divisional, we meet with communications, finance, budget. So it's been very successful in getting everyone on the same page with communicating the challenges and the successes of the program. So we do that. And we've also, you can see on here the bond referendum and in the grants that that Jeff mentioned. So there's a bunch of programmatic things. We added people and we got some funding. But I wanted you to know the technical side of things. I'm an engineer, so I want you to know the technical part too. When Matthew hit, we didn't necessarily have a very good understanding of how those kind of storms could impact the city of Virginia Beach if they were to occur. Since then, we've done a lot of work. You've done a lot of sensors. We have a lot of sensors out in the system now that can tell our operations folks when elevations are rising in different rivers and channels and all those sort of things. But you really spent a lot of money doing two things. You built a stormwater model, which allows you to simulate how it's going to affect your system, your area. And since that model was done in 2018, you've been working on drainage basin plans. Those are very detailed snapshots of the city. So, everything doesn't drain the same place all the time. You have drainage areas. So each of those areas has been studied by engineers, and you've come up with strategies for long term. What do we do in the short term? What do we do in the long term? And we're finishing up the last couple of those this quarter. So you've been working on them for several years because there's 15 of them. It takes a long time to get all that done. You go back and update your model, then you go to the next one. We've done a wind tide modeling. We've really gotten a better understanding of how wind impacts flooding here in Virginia Beach, the science behind it. We didn't know that before. We weren't really paying attention or really quantifying it. So now we have a better understanding of wind tide, wind stacking, all tidal stacking, and all of those things. So you can see a lot of work has gone into that. At the same time, we're still working with the Army Corps of Engineers for the Coastal Storm Risk Management Study. Who knows how long that's going to take? It's supposed to take 3 years, but we don't really know for sure. But we're actively engaged with them and other cities and around this area. And we've done the flood visualization tool I talked to you about my last update. I showed you how we're letting people understand how flooding affects their direct neighborhoods, whether it's a 10-year storm or a 100-year storm. So people can be more educated and prepared before these storms come. So there's been a lot of technical work done to define what are the problems and what are the solutions. So we're working on that, and that's pretty exciting to me. So I do want to give you an update. All of the projects are moving forward, and I want to give you a quick 4-1. I'll just run through here, and I won't spend a lot of time. I know you have a lot of things to talk about. But the Windsor Woods, Princess Anne Plaza, and the Lakes Master Project, we've grouped your projects into 7 master projects. These are moving forward. So you've heard a lot about the Bow Creek Stormwater Park. We just got 60% design for phase 2, the section 2 of it. Section 1 is under construction. So that's actively moving forward. You've heard about the Tidegate project. You've seen the crane out there. That's under construction. And then we recently awarded the pre-construction services contract to the design builder for the mega bundle, we like to call it, because it's the work at Princess Anne Plaza in the Lakes and Windsor Woods. So it's happening. It's moving forward now. We're going to be having a lot of conversations about as we get this design builder on board and we're going to have a lot more specificity on the projects. On the Eastern Shore Drive, all those projects are still progressing. We have a lot of projects. We've gotten, they're around about 60% design right now, so you can see that those are going to go to construction before too long. You know, other than the Vista Circle Pump Station, that's a future project we're going to work into there, but all of those projects are actively moving forward. The designs are progressing. I'm going to show you that at the end of these slides here. Central Resort, that is currently in preliminary engineering, and those are the kind of the drainage problems they're evaluating. How does the area drain? What's going on with the 24th Street culvert? What are the specific areas that we know have localized challenges? How can they be fixed in a overall drainage basin area? On the Marsh Back Bay, that project has been 100% designed. So we're very excited right now. We're moving forward with that, getting that towards construction, getting through permitting and all those sort of things. But that project has been designed, and that's kind of a conceptual view of what it's going to look like when we're done. And then on the right side, you can see Elizabeth River wetland and floodplain restoration. It's kind of a two-part project. One is the Arrowhead Elementary School, and one's the Avalon Park, where both of them are restoring wetland areas and marshes. So that one's also 100% designed, and that one's received several, both of these have received grant funding. So they're 100% designed. We're ready to go on to procurement now to get some construction folks involved in those. So you're going to be seeing activity on those. Lake Bradford, that was brought up, Chubb Lake. We're in the preliminary engineering phase on that. At some point, we'll go to a design build procurement for that once we finish all the preliminary engineering. Lincoln Bay, again, SeaTac neighborhood. Jeff mentioned we NTP'd that project for construction, and the First Colonial Road and Oceana Boulevard, that drainage is also 100% design. So there are a lot of projects that are approaching 100% design that staff have been working on actively. Southern Rivers, Pungo Ferry, that is in preliminary engineering phase still. And Sandbridge, Newbridge, that intersection, that drainage is about 60% design. And the West Neck Creek Bridge is still preliminary engineering. So it takes a long time to do preliminary engineering. Sometimes these are big projects, big investments, and we want to make sure that we get them to a really good level of design to get a better understanding of the better price. So that's kind of a really quick run through. Now on the program, this is my slide I like to show you, and I like to show you how this summarizes what I just told you. It tells you which projects are in preliminary design, which ones are in design, what phase they're at, the design build project, and which is under construction. The ones highlighted in orange have changed since I last showed you this. They've moved over to the right. So for example, Lake Bradford dredging is now complete. That was under construction last time I talked to you. Windsor Woods, PAP, Princess Anne Plaza, and the Lakes Bundle, that was in procurement last time I talked to you. Now that's under design contract. And the two in blue down there, those are going to change when I talk to you next time. So those are 100% design, and they're going to be moving towards construction if the schedules continue to line up. So things are happening. Our goal is every one of these gets all the way to the right. We finish them. So you can see we finished 4 projects already, and they have several under construction right now, and a lot that are going to be going to construction. So we spent $58 million. We're still, this is going to start accelerating at a lot faster pace as more projects go to construction and bigger project investments are being made. So that's just to give you an idea. We talked about project baselining and project phasing. So I just wanted you to see how many projects are in construction right now. You know, this is a list of projects that we do have a baseline estimate that we compare what our current estimate is to keep ourselves honest and straight, transparent. So we're showing you there's so many pretty cool projects that are under construction that are going to make a difference in the neighborhood. And then, like I said, we have several projects still in planning, and these are the ones that are in planning, and they represent a pretty good chunk of change, over a little over half of the program. So we're not just sitting still waiting on something. We're continuing to advance everything that we can. So right now we're showing about a 4% variance in the overall program costs from what we've baselined. So that's a pretty good number from conceptual engineering to actual numbers. And then I also want to talk to you about the ARPA program, the $40 million that are actively being coordinated with the operations, stormwater operations. You know, we're dredging 19 lakes, and of that, we've gotten I put together a very similar table. Which of those lakes are actively being constructed? It's really dredging, not construction, but what ones are being bid, permitting, and design. So you can see these are going to continue to move forward also. Same thing with the neighborhood drainage, neighborhood improvements. We have 20 neighborhoods that were performing drainage improvements for the cost of $25 million under the ARPA program. So again, we spent about half of that so far, $12 million. And you can see there's a lot that have construction have been completed. Several are under construction. Those shown in blue will be finished by the time I come to you next quarter. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on your council reports. I did update them and they're in your packet that you have, but I wanted you to know that what you're really going to see is this table at the bottom. You're going to see the projects moving over. So they are not in the same, some of them are because, we've already talked about design takes a long time depending on the project, but many of them have moved from design into bidding or bidding into construction. So those are, I've given each of you your reports there. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Ms. Utterback or Mr. Hanson or myself, but we'll get any answers that you need right away. And I do want to add on to our monthly report is posted under the Flood Protection Oversight Board website. And in that report, we document what public meetings were held related to the flood protection program and the ones that we're aware of for the next month. So we have a sheet for every one of these projects in that monthly report. So at that time, I'll see if anyone has any questions.
Any questions? My apologies for preempting you, but
That's
I
all
just
right.
wanted to lay the groundwork that, you have, what has been done, for over the last number of years, 8 years, has
Yeah.
been considerable. And, given the fact that, let me reemphasize that this is our top city priority, I think we have been coming through.
Yeah.
And, but once again, with the magnitude, with the, just the number of projects you got out there,
Yeah.
it's incredible. And I think Michael said something about seeing the ripple effect signs all over the place. Thank you all for what you're doing. We're living up to our word. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. All righty, it's that time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. At this time, our budget director, Kevin Chatelier, will come and give council the presentation of the city manager's proposed budget for your review and consideration. As mentioned, this really starts the process for council's deliberation, and this is the first step towards making it the city council's adopted budget, which is expected to be approved on May 14th.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. As the city manager just says, my pleasure today to present his proposed budget to city council and the viewing public for consideration. I would first like to, I'm terrible about doing this, but it's well-deserved. Thank you to my staff this year for their extra hours and work, a lot of long hours and late nights putting the budget together for your consideration. In addition to their efforts, it's really a citywide effort. Departments put in a lot of hours in considering their putting together the budget proposals for the city manager and budgets deliberations and considerations. So I'd like to thank them as well. So as I move into the presentation, this is just a introduction, high-level operating budget highlight. So typically some of the things we like to address out of the gate are overall budget and operational growth. So the proposed budget for FY25 compared to the current year's amended budget is projected to grow 2.77%, which is less than the rate of inflation as of January. In terms of FTE authority, the proposed budget, city and schools combined, is to be reduced by 17.15 FTE. So that's a net change. So on the city side, there's a net increase of 19.25. And I'll talk about a few of the pluses and minuses. But for context there's about 32 FTEs that are being added as a result of additional revenue or proposals that have bill payers or FTEs through either VDOT revenue or some outside agency contribution and increased revenue supporting those FTEs. So with those 32 increases, you can see here that we only reflect a net increase of 19. That means that 13 FTEs were reduced or taken away elsewhere within the operating budget. And again, I'll get to that in a moment. Looking at schools, as reflected in the superintendent's estimate of needs, or the SEON, the schools are proposing a net reduction of 36 FTEs. So like the city, they have an increase in certain areas such as elementary school security and middle school special educators. In their proposal, they also include a reduction of 71 FTE. So that's how you get to the net reduction there. High level look at expenditures. Good news is that at the direction of City Council, we were able to develop a proposed budget that looks to maintain existing baseline services without causing a negative impact to the public or in their expectations of city services. Looking at revenues, the proposed budget at the direction of City Council has been developed and proposed based on a 97-cent tax rate. That's a real estate tax rate of 2 cents, a reduction of 2 cents, and that guidance was provided by City Council at the February budget retreat. Some other revenue notables also included is an ordinance to modify city code to provide a 5-day grace period from the point in time that real estate and personal property taxes are due to a 5-day period after that before penalties and interest begin to accumulate and be charged. Looking at real estate, I previously noted the rates being reduced. You can see there that overall revenue growth is about 4.6%, even though assessments are growing just over 7%. The year-over-year budget revenue growth is only 4.6%, and that's a result of the rate reduction. We'll get into more details about some proposed fee adjustments to maintain current services and baseline services. And then the last bullet point there is talking about how this budget proposal is really setting the stage for City Council to allow their continued discussion of policy-related decisions, such as the future of recycling services within the city, dedications, and those type policy level discussions. I'll move through these slides a little bit quicker to try to get some time back to allow discussion of council, but I just wanted to highlight in the presentation that City Council has a long history of being a tax-friendly locality and tax-friendly council. So just on this slide alone, you can see the top table there, real estate tax relief. City Council has an elderly and disabled tax exemption program in FY25 next year. That's projected to cost a total of $15 million or provide $15 million in tax avoidance and tax relief to residents. The next one down, in terms of the veterans tax relief, it's certainly a mandated program, but it's worth noting in that the city's been able to accommodate that and be flexible with that over the years. That's growing at a pretty rapid rate, about 24% a year, and the next year's exemption amount is close to $28 million, or about 4 cents on the real estate tax rate. City Council has some other categories. In personal property, you can see lowered rates for disabled veterans and personal property. Millionth of a cent tax rate for personal boats, machinery, and tools, and then a 2-year business exemption program for new businesses that come to the city. They don't have to pay for a bipolar business professional occupational license for 2 years. Since 2020 and the pandemic, the expectation from the public in terms of tax relief has really ramped up. City Council stepped up to the plate in doing that and been responsive to the city's need or the public's needs. So the top category there, looking at real estate tax relief, I mentioned the proposed budget includes a 2 cent rate reduction. If that is approved as proposed, since FY21, City Council will have reduced the real estate tax rate by 4.75 cents. Based on the FY25 per penny, that's a tax avoidance of about $37 million. Something that's not reflective in the tax rate, but certainly worth noting, is the direction and decision by City Council to, as opposed to increasing the real estate tax rate associated with the need to service the bond referendum, City Council made the decision to absorb that within the overall assessment growth. So they established a dedicated bill payer with that of 4.1 cent dedication, goes to a special revenue fund, and in FY25, that is the equivalent of $32.3 million. So just between those real estate decisions alone, that's close to $70 million in tax avoidance. There's other relief initiatives. The following table includes personal property. Of note within that, City Council's decision to be responsive to the market whenever chip shortages was resulting in increase in overinflated vehicle values. City Council, in working with the Commissioner of Revenue, authorized an ordinance to establish a fair market value adjustment, lowering those assessments. Virginia Beach is unique in that majority of the localities did it year one, but Virginia Beach was only a handful of localities to do it for a second year, as most others had just accepted 2 years of the assessment change as being the true market value. Again, I could go into further detail, but collectively since 2020, you can see here at the bottom of this slide, City of Virginia Beach and City Councils provided a little more than $219 million in local tax relief efforts. So at the budget retreat in February, city staff provided to City Council its recommendations, or we sought guidance from City Council on our guiding principles in resource allocation decisions in the development of the proposed budget. City Council agreed with the initial four bulleted points there, and then in bold, City Council provided some additional guidance on top of that, including specific direction to reduce the real estate tax rate by 2 cents, attempt to minimize new spending, redistribute resources where needed if necessary, identify one-time costs. If there was a need to eliminate positions, look to identify long-term vacancies first. And then also City Council gave direction that if necessary to share across-the-board reduction of the real estate tax rate, direction to reduce that with either existing policies, dedications, or regional grants. So this slide here is just a little different look. The proposed budget's just over $2.6 billion, and that is reflective of that 2.77% growth. You can see from the pie chart that education is about 45% of the overall pie, with infrastructure-related departments there in the red, planning, public works, public utilities about 13.4%, being the second largest, and then public safety, the darker blue, at 13.3%. We have noted several times over the last year that the upcoming budget process, or the FY25, is not going to be like previous years. We're seeing slowed revenue growth. Doesn't mean it's not normal revenue growth. It's just not the rate of revenue growth we were seeing coming out of the pandemic. So for context there, the general government tax revenue growth for the general fund that's shared with schools is around $35 million. You can see there that further breakout, $21 million roughly is being retained by the city, with just under $14 million being provided to schools through the revenue sharing formula. We went through a pretty extensive list and discussion of this with City Council at the retreat, mentioning how majority of that revenue growth was just going to be used or necessary to cover the budget drivers or the must-dos. And I'll get to that in just a moment. Being that we're in a tax reduction year at the direction of council, it didn't leave much discretion or limited availability for a city to allocate resources towards furthering some of the focused action plan initiatives. Doesn't mean that work's not going to be done towards those. It just means city staff will continue to work on those towards those with existing resources. But outside of that, we were certainly able to check the box on the other direction and guidance principles provided by City Council and set the stage for future policy discussions. So in an attempt to do this at a high level, I'm going to carry that $21 million forward that was just referenced on the previous slide. After sharing with schools, the general fund retention was about $21 million. We had noted at the retreat the budget drivers are the must-dos. So in an attempt to try to do this at a high level and with some rounding, I'm going to try to do a crosswalk in the balancing effort of the budget. So the first bullet point there being the Virginia retirement system. So why is this a must-do? The city's part of the overall statewide pension system. The rate that each locality is to contribute into that is set by the state every 2 years. Virginia Beach has went up close to 1% year-over-year growth in the VRS contribution from the city and general funds, about $6 million. So that's a must-do, something we have to do to maintain that and pay into the pension system. The other budget drivers on here are pretty self-explanatory. Upcoming bond issuance is going to result in additional debt service need in the operating budget. Risk management's equivalent of the city's insurance. Growth in the elderly and disabled tax relief program year over year, about $2 million. City garage charges. There was some need to annualize some operational costs, such as first year of the sheriff's body worn camera implementation and the licensing of that. Police technology license and the increased need, so that way the increased costs of these, such as not just the body worn camera program, but the shot spotter technology, and that is in their operating budget and doesn't squeeze out other services. So whenever you take into account these baseline budget drivers, that $21 million is now down to a balance of about 2.1. Carrying that 2.1 over to this slide, as we were evaluating budget proposals and needs in our one-on-one meetings with departments, there were some existing resources that need to be allocated to maintain baseline services in various departments. The most significant of which is included in the proposed budget here of an additional 17 FTEs for the fire department. This is a partial funding of the fire department's request of 60 FTEs. And this is, again, not to enhance services, but to maintain services. The fire department in recent years has been experiencing a need to hold over staff from one shift to another shift to meet the baseline needs of that shift. After a little deeper dive, it appears it's being caused by a couple of factors. One, in recent years, there's been an increase in leave utilization and use by fire department FTEs and staff. This is a combination of multiple different leave types, military leave, but nonetheless, it's causing an issue to where they're having to hold people over just to continue to maintain baseline services. Not just the utilization of leave, but there's also another juggling act that the fire department is trying to manage, and that's as the more tenured senior staff are retiring and they're replacing them with new recruits, there's a experience loss there of being able to operate all the apparatus on a shift. And so they're needing to hold over some individuals because they have that specific skill set. So it's certainly an issue that the fire department's been juggling with in recent years. Again, the full request was for 60 FTEs. However, due to funding limitations and likely the challenges the fire department would have in being able to fill, hire, recruit all those positions over the next year, this is a balanced approach to begin to put some resources there, but it's certainly not going to resolve the issue in one given year. I'm sure the fire chief will be able to clarify or provide additional clarity to the conversation at his budget presentation. With EMS services, City Council's been making significant investments in that the last couple of years, most recently in the current year with 38 FTEs. Whenever the resources or the FTEs were allocated, EMS found success in the current year by achieving their paramedic needs and the city staffed ambulances by filling that with part-time positions. They found qualified individuals who only wanted to do it on a part-time basis. So going forward in FY25, they would like to continue to do that. And this additional 4 FTEs will allow them to get back to their full-time FTE authorization that was provided in the current year. But it's certainly not the full request that they had of 20 FTEs to continue this investment in EMS services. But it's certainly making progress. The next bullet point down is a continuation of a grant that was provided in the current year to the Virginia Beach Rescue Councils. So they again requested a grant from the city in next year. That total request was $800,000, and it has been included in the city manager's proposed budget. The city's long relied and continues to partner with the volunteer rescue squads in the delivery of this critical service for the city, and they're experiencing a reduction in volunteerism and donations to their nonprofit organizations, which is hampering their ability to deliver the service and pay for their apparatus and supplies. So this is really seen as continuing to support them so they can provide this service. Within the Department of ECCS, or Emergency Communication Citizen Services, there is a need for some technology investments. I'll get to a redirection of some FTEs in the following slide, but ECCS has identified the need to invest in some of their technological services, but also begin exploring and piloting a project to look at potentially using AI to begin answering some non-emergency related calls. They're familiar with other call centers that began exploring this, and we're providing them or recommending resources for them to begin exploring this themselves. Some other plus-ups for the sheriff related to the medical contract and food service needs. And then that last bullet point, citywide security service cost increases. The city's been utilizing a contractual service for city security needs. One of the departments that comes to mind with a recent need for an increased security awareness is Department of Human Services, where unfortunately Human Services has become the face of having to deliver the unfortunate news to recipients that their federal benefits are no longer being continued, and it's created some hostile situations in some of those locations, and the awareness of some security has certainly helped mitigate that. So with taking these into account, that balance of $2.1 million now goes in the red, about negative $3 million. So again, bringing that forward, there were some additional baseline service needs. Being next year is a presidential election year, 2024 presidential election, there was a need to increase the voter registrar's operating accounts by about $1.2 million for this one-time cost. A continuation of the housing owner-occupied rehabilitation program. This is a program administered by the housing department for individuals who fall in between a gap of qualifying for federal programs because of the location where they live, or don't quite have the means to be able to make that investment in safety things around their house. So the proposed budget includes $100,000 for that. And then one of the bigger budget drivers in any given year is related to personnel and the need to maintain a qualified workforce. So City Council a couple of years ago, implemented a step plan for about 80% of the workforce. So the proposed budget recommends adding additional resources that will allow for the equivalent of 3.5% compensation increase across the whole workforce. So for those on the step plan, this will be the equivalent of a one-step increase with a 0.5% general increase. And then for those that are not on the step plan, be the equivalent of a 3%, approximately 3% merit increase with a 0.5% general increase. Cost of that is estimated to be about $19.5 million for the general fund. And the last bullet point there is related to health insurance. So the proposed budget does not recommend an increase in employee health insurance premiums, but instead recommends a increased contribution on the employers or the city's behalf into the health insurance fund of about 3%, which for the general fund is about $1.5 million. So taking these into account, the overall balance we got going on right now is negative $25 million. So obviously with the direction of reducing the real estate tax revenue, City Council also provided direction at the retreat that there was a need to do some belt tightening, make reductions if needed to make the budget work. So this slide here, bringing over that negative $25 million, these were some of the efforts that were taken. At the top there, one of the more significant ones was elimination of 17 long-term vacancies within the Department of ECCS. So emergency communications citizen services provides 911 call taking services as well as 311. It's a very high stress job that has a lot of turnover. Cities made many efforts in the year to address the vacancy issue. However, it still continues to occur. So the proposed budget, acknowledging that, makes a reduction of 17 of those vacancies. This is not all of the vacancies, but it still will allow ECCS to staff, recruit, and fill these positions as needed to keep this critical service going. We're also asking for flexibility that should ECCS somehow be able to fill all those vacancies and become 100% operational, we are asking for some discretion for the city manager to be able to bring forward to City Council a recommendation to allocate additional FTEs to ECCS so they can continue their mission and hopefully reduce the call wait times and response times. So that elimination saved about $1.3 million. The next bullet point down is the elimination of 10.5 FTEs within human services associated with the closure of Kentucky Avenue Intermediate Care Facility, that's the ICF. So these positions, Human Services has not been able to fill for quite some time. So the budget's acknowledging that with the elimination of those positions and the need to close the Kentucky Avenue facility. The facility itself, anybody who is receiving care at the facility has found alternate care at other locations provided within the city. So that lease is set to expire and the budget's making that reduction of just over $1.1 million. Some other line item, more specific reductions within economic development, the elimination of $1 million for the biomedical incubator lease space and the equipment. Reduction of general fund fuel, citywide fuel reserve, about $900,000. Various operating supply accounts were reduced throughout the city and general fund departments. Some noted on here, human services, city treasurer, courts, finance, but there are others. It's about $600,000. We're switching the budget software tools from our previous system to a new system we'll be implementing over the summer. It's going to result in a year-over-year reduction of about $500,000 in resource needs. The following positions are just efficiency positions or elimination of vacancies within the libraries, the elimination of 5 FTEs for efficiency and centralizing of some administrative functions. Within housing, a maintenance vacancy related to the Housing Resource Center. And within the planning department, a planning right-of-way coordinator position. And then that last bullet point, a reduction in the non-departmental grants. So this is the across-the-board reduction. So unless a organization had a formal MOU with the city or an agreed-upon grant term, then they received a 2% reduction, which is the equivalent of reducing the real estate rate from 99 to 97 cents. So if a organization such as Sister Cities is no longer here, but I was going to note that there is a formal agreement with them, so that would have been held harmless from the 2% reduction. Taking these adjustments into account, that balance is down to negative $20 million now. So next thing we did is we looked for one-time cost. So I previously noted a few of these: presidential election, the VB Rescue Council, some of the apparatus and costs to get the firefighters FTEs in place. Those are considered one-time and an allowable use of a funding source such as the general fund balance. So those resources, or the fund balance, was used to balance the operating budget in the general fund, about $2.5 million. And then another one-time source used is the use of attrition savings. And to balance the budget, $10 million was used with that. So that brings it down to about $7.5 million delta we were trying to close. With that, the use of attrition savings at $10 million, balancing the budget, City Council's fund balance policy of 8 to 12% of having a general fund balance is not in jeopardy with that. In addition to that, and with what planned use in year 1 of the CIP, the projected general fund balance is to be 9.97%, again, within the policy. So after focusing on the operating budget, there was a need then to focus and turn our attention to the CIP. So one of the balancing approaches was to make a reduction in the general fund's pay-go contribution to the CIP. So we were able to put some one-time funding, such as general fund balance, towards one-time projects. And then we scrubbed the CIP looking for CIP projects that might no longer be a priority in the early years of the CIP. An example of this is with MoCA relocating to a different facility. There was a program CIP that had some improvements to the facility specifically related to their accreditation need. And so we were able to eliminate that as being a CIP need. But then there was still a need to further make reductions in the CIP or reduce general fund pay-go. And that's whenever attention was turned towards looking at some of the existing dedications and a redirection from those. So you can see here with the Agricultural Reserve Program, Open Space, Tourism Advertisement Program, the Tourism Investment Program, and then the Economic Development Investment Program, pay-go of those amounts were directed to support the CIP. And I'll get into that on the slide. Well, after I show that that's how we balance budget. So we put a lot of thought in the methodology and approach that was taken in developing the budget, as the proposed budget includes a modest redirection of some of the dedications, not necessarily through amending the tax rate by ordinance, but through a redirection of the dedicated fund and its pay-go contribution to the CIP. So we used the three-pronged approach to help identify the dedications that had capacity. We looked to first determine, did they have an existing fund balance or a budgeted reserve? The next step is, if they had that, then we asked the question and did a little minor stress test. If a dollar amount was redirected, will capacity remain to cover existing obligations or the intent of the dedication? And then the third approach, if both of those things check out, if a dollar amount was redirected, will the fund retain enough fund balance to ensure that the percentage never falls below 15% of the following year's revenue? Using that approach, we were able to narrow it down to the ARP, the open space, the TAP, the TIP, and the EDIP that I previously noted. So combined, through the redirection of the equivalent of $2.3 million collectively between those dedications to the CIP, it reduced the general fund's need of pay-go contribution to the CIP by a like amount, allowing the general fund to reduce or apply a $2.3 million reduction towards the tax reduction initiative. The best we could, we attempted to try to associate the dedication with a section of the CIP that supported like projects. So for example, the TIP fund, in its $800,000 contribution to the CIP, there are two projects that come to mind. The Oceanfront Capital Project Reinvestment receives about $600,000 a year. And then the Virginia Beach Amphitheater Capital Maintenance Project, $200,000 a year. Historically, these have been supported by the general fund. So that $800,000 increase contribution by the TIP to support projects like those allowed the general fund to make that reduction. Some other notable adjustments in the operating budget, more specific to department increased revenues or revenue adjustments within departments. I noted earlier a need for increased costs for security increases. The Aquarium and Convention Center Bureau are two departments that were able to absorb those cost increases through their department-specific revenue growth. Human Services received some additional state and federal funding for specific programs within their operations. Public Works was a particular department that had additional FTEs added through department-specific revenue coming through the form of VDOT. So that provided Public Works with the ability to fund 16 FTEs related to the service purpose for which those funds are awarded by VDOT for the maintenance and delivering of roadway projects. Within Parks and Rec, some specific fees were adjusted related to park maintenance, the out-of-school time or the OST program. Fee adjustments are being recommended in that to allow OST to increase their staff by 10.5 FTEs. Staff were reduced at the early stages at the beginning of the pandemic, and Parks and Recs has identified the need to increase staffing to ensure that student-staff ratios are maintained at a proper balance to ensure that the out-of-school time programs remain safe for the students. Additional adjustments are being proposed within the Parks and Rec Special Revenue Fund, and a particular investment in that will allow them to do is bring on 4 full-time lifeguards. They've been experiencing a need to close pools at various points in time as a result of not having adequate lifeguards to staff the pools. They've been using a part-time model for many years, and they think switching to adding these 4 full-time lifeguards will allow them more flexibility and get to the pre-pandemic days of having pools open normal hours. A slide unto its own is mentioning that the Waste Management Fund monthly fees, the budget includes a recommended increase in that of $3.05. So this is specifically to cover the costs related to the recycling contract. City Council received this briefing in February from the Public Works Director, where it was noted that the contract in its essence is going to be doubling in cost, resulting in an increased need in the monthly fee of $3.05. That has been included in the proposed budget, and that'll allow plenty of time for the public to be able to give input on this at the 2 public hearings to be had, and for this public policy level discussion to take place over the next couple of months. I've certainly noted a lot of adjustments that have happened, but it's worth noting that there's a lot that the proposed budget doesn't get to in addressing department needs. Those are more detailed in a report in the operating budget called the Requested But Not Funded List. It's a reflection of both current services and new services being requested. So in total, that lists $32.7 million, an additional 242 FTEs that were not added, but requested by departments and outside organizations. So I'm going to switch to schools briefly. Schools will be here next week to be able to talk about their proposed operating budget in more detail, or their adopted operating budget in more detail. I just wanted to kind of talk about the timeline of the handing off of information back and forth between city and schools. We've made note that the schools utilizes the local funding provided through the revenue sharing formula, which we provide initially in November. The state, the governor provides a budget in December. School board the school staff uses that over the month of January to develop the superintendent's estimate of needs, which this year was released on February 6th. City Council then had a meeting the following week where direction was given, specific direction to reduce the real estate tax rate by 2 cents. So the superintendent's estimate need did not have that taken into account when it was initially proposed. Because of the timing of when that information is provided by schools to when they actually adopt their budget, which was just last week, city staff doesn't have time to incorporate that into the city manager's proposed budget. So for that reason, and historically, the city manager's proposed budget has included the superintendent's estimate of needs as first proposed. And then what we do is we gather the additional information from schools on what adjustments are needed, and then we bring that to city council to take up as a part of the reconciliation process in May. So high level, with schools, as I just noted, the superintendent estimate of needs is what's reflected in the proposed budget. That included local funding growth through the revenue sharing formula of about $13.3 million. The state revenue as being proposed by the governor was only an increase of $500,000, with federal revenue and their primary operating fund of increase of $1.2 million. Schools, similar to the city, is looking to have a year-over-year increase in compensation, about 3.5%. Schools is occurring a little bit different, though. If you recall, schools implemented a modified scale STEP program in the current year's operating budget that took place in July. Then in January, schools received notice that they were receiving additional state funds, and they provided a mid-year additional adjustment of 2%. The proposed budget includes the annualization of that 2% in next year's budget, as well as a 1.5% step increase for school staff. So they're in line with the city, pretty close to a 3.5% adjustment. I made note earlier of their net reduction of 34 FTEs as submitted in the superintendent's estimate of need. And then being that the direction to provide the rate adjustment came after that, the budget is balanced with the city manager's negative reserve, adjusting the school funding formula down to account for that reduction in real estate tax revenue. So I'll switch over to the CIP briefly. So in addition to budget-related guidance for the operating budget, City Council also gave updated guidance related to the CIP. They confirmed the first 4 bullet points, which was the direction staff was going, and they confirmed that. But then they added additional guidance to ensure the staff was taking construction timelines into consideration, funding match obligation needs, as well as the overall age of the project in terms of public expectations. The same is true now. That was true then. That was true a year ago when we had to delay or defer several projects from the CIP. There's insufficient funds to meet all the CIP needs, which City Council seemed to grasp at the retreat and alluded to the need of a specific retreat to focus on CIP-related discussions. Similar to the operating budget, here's a pie chart with the various CIP sections. Total 6-year CIP, including the appropriation states, about $5.4 billion. You can see, and this was mentioned in the previous briefing or by the mayor in his comments, about the stormwater and flood protection now represent 24% of the total pie, definitely the largest section, with roadways being the second largest section at 19%, followed by schools at 14%. Roadways infrastructure is always a topic of interest and concern whenever it comes to the annual operating budget and capital improvement program. So the 6-year proposed CIP looks to leverage $155 million in state and federal dollars over the 6-year period. 3 of the projects that were previously communicated as being delayed or deferred or had funding removed from as a result of last year or the current year CIP are now receiving additional funds as proposed in the CIP. Cleveland Street is one of them, and that will now be reflected as fully funded in the proposed CIP. The other 2, Shore Drive Phase 4, is looking to receive some additional state and federal dollars with local funds being programmed in the out years, as well as Elbow Road Extended Phase 2D, some additional state funding and local funding in the out year. Although progress is being made, unfortunately, a balance to complete on each of those projects remains at $48 million for Shore Drive and $25 million for the Elbow Road project. So what we keep experiencing as we get into the budget deliberation process and development process, more short-term needs continue to pop up. A good example of that is the first bullet point there in notable new projects, the Great Neck Bridge. So in meeting with Public Works and when they do their annual condition assessment on bridges and roadway infrastructure, they identified this as a pretty high priority need in the early years of the CIP to do some significant maintenance of the Great Neck Bridge. So that's a $13 million CIP need that was identified and funded in the early years of the CIP. A couple of other notables, the Pacific Avenue turn lanes. Some federal funding was secured to put appropriations towards that in the early years of the CIP. And then the 17th Street Phase 1. This has been a TIP-funded project. The project's been in 100% design for a little over a year now. It's just had a balance to complete on it, preventing it from going out to construction. The proposed budget is including the remaining amount estimated in year one of the CIP from the TIP fund to allow that project to get out to bid. Related to stormwater and coastal, a couple of notables. The 17th Street Regional Stormwater Management Facility is now reflected as fully funded. This received a $10 million allocation from the state, in which is recommended to be appropriated to the project in year one, and the project will be fully funded throughout the 6-year CIP. Another notable project is the local share being programmed to the Regional Coast Stormwater Risk Management Study. This is a partnership with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, or the USACE, to study the impacts of the area's resiliency and sea level rise. So looking at Parks and Rec, there's a few notable projects to make comment on. I'll try to move over these fairly quickly. The first one has been a project of recent discussion. This was related to the Rudy Loop Park development. And that project is being reflected as fully funded in the 6-year CIP at $60 million. So at the direction of council to establish the project, funding was programmed in the current year. $6 million was programmed next year to continue that, with the residual $54 million in the following year of the CIP, or year two of the CIP. So the bill payer for this was a redirection from an out-year program funding on the resort parking district project of $60 million. So that $60 million from the TIP fund was accelerated to put towards this. So overall, there's not additional debt burden or debt capacity being put on the TIP fund in the long term. It's just a redirection. And a redirection from the resort parking project in the out years, $60 million was programmed, not appropriated, programmed for planning purposes. It still leaves $28 million on that project for city staff to continue to pursue parking needs at the resort area. Another notable project that came up in recent conversation is the state provided funds in the amount of $7 million for site acquisition purposes in the Southern Rivers watershed. The proposed budget includes that and recommended that to be placed on a Parks and Rec related CIP that has that exact project title. It is an allowable use within that, but it does not have to stay on that project. The state provided it for the purposes of addressing stormwater in the Southern Rivers watershed, so it could certainly go towards any of those stormwater related projects that does that and meets that scope. Another notable within the Parks and Rec is the need to accelerate the funding previously programmed on the Rec Center Modernization CIP and increase that funding by $4 million in the early years of the CIP. The funding source of the $4 million is provided through the Parks and Rec Special Revenue Fund. The Michael Kirschman, Director of Parks and Rec, has talked with City Council over the years as there's a certain timeline that's needed. If the modernization efforts are going to go forward, a plan needs to be put in place, design needs to begin, because he also referred to one as a do-nothing approach. And it doesn't mean actually do nothing. It just means maintain and put the resources towards maintaining the infrastructure that we have in place. And once you do that, you're not going to want to come back the following year or 2 years later and take off a roof that you just replaced. So it's really accelerating the timeline and need for this conversation to take place. The last one here is within the libraries department. What they're experiencing is their automated material handler is at the end of its useful life, and they're finding difficulty in finding contractors and the parts to keep that going and the operations of that going. And this is really the backbone of the library system in terms of distributing and checking in books and material as they're dropped off. So this is a sorting tool that they use whenever books are dropped off overnight. They're scanned, they're sorted, and it accelerates the timeline in which the books are redirected all over the city. If this were to fail, they would go back to the pre-system days of having to manually do it, and it would certainly slow down the circulation timeline for books and materials. So last slide here on the CIP, and these are just some notable projects that you won't find necessarily tied to the community satisfaction survey. An identified need that occurred in this budget development process is a central plant loop replacement. So it's a $29 million need that's included for funding in the first couple of years of the CIP. If anybody's frequented city council within the last year, you might have noticed some steaming water out front of the City Hall building. The entire municipal complex is underground, is a hot water pipe that not only provides hot water to the municipal complex, but also provides the heating, acts as the heating source for majority of the buildings in the municipal complex, including the correctional facility that provides the inmates with hot water and heat. So that's failing, and it's really presented itself as an emergent need in the earlier years of the CIP, which has resulted in some difficult decisions, including the redirection of funding previously programmed for the beach maintenance facility, which has long been identified as a facility most in need within the city operations of being replaced. Some other facilities were identified throughout the process as well, including mosquito control replacement and the waste management facility. Although you see out there next to them some potential bill pairs with those, we're going to look to see if we can get creative in the utilization of the stormwater dedication and waste management fund operational revenue to provide those. And then the last one is just with everything else, there's also increase in implementation costs and related with inflation, delivery of service. The city's in the process of bidding out and implementing a new HCM or the enterprise resource planning, the human capital maintenance system that provides payroll needs, human services management needs, and the monitoring needs, and really a system that's overdue to be replaced within the city. Similar to the operating budget, the funding request far outweigh or outpace the funds available to allocate to specific purposes. So the list reflected in the CIP, the requested but not funded list, totals $634 million across the various CIP sections. Taking into account the flood protection section, that requested but not funded amount would grow to $991 million. Quickly, I'll cover revenues. Just at a high level, I touched on most of these earlier in the presentation regarding the real estate tax rate reduction, the extension of the penalty and interest, the deadline before penalties and interest start to accumulate. Some other notables are increases in the SSD rates for two neighborhood dredging projects, more specifically Gills Cove and Shilling Point. These are neighborhood special service district taxes that are self-imposed by the neighborhoods in partnership with the city to dredge them navigable waterways up to their property lines. Parks and Rec fees, I'd mentioned those as being increased, various fees. Worth noting is that the proposed budget is continuing the freeze on the stormwater ERU rate. City Council froze this rate until FY29. There has been a lot that's changed since that policy was implemented. We were seeing record levels of inflation, the staffing needs, the pay needs to get the staff in there to do the work. There's just been a lot of things that have changed. Public Works is currently undergoing a rate study to look at that to determine what the future needs of the ERU need to be to maintain current level services. And so we'll be looking to get that over the course of the next year. And it might lead to a possibility of City Council needing to reconsider this policy in future budgets. I mentioned the waste management fee, and then just for situational awareness, the proposed budget does include year 2 of a 5-year increase or adjustments in water and sewer related fees so they can stay in compliance with their bond covenant. Something we're always mindful of in developing the operating budget is the tax burden that the proposed fees and revenues or tax rates are going to have on residents. Something that we're particularly proud of, and City Council, I know, has spoken of in the past, that Virginia Beach compares well to the national and Atlantic region in that their residents feel that they get a good value for their tax dollars and fees. So the table down below that, I'll kind of work left to right and kind of work through that. So the first one there, the single median family home value, which in FY25 is going to be $388,000. So what this is reflective of is the year-over-year change in the annual tax rate. So you can see that in FY24, it was $3,600. In FY25, it's $3,700. That equates to a monthly change of about $12.08 or an annual change of $144. And the reason it's broken down on a monthly basis is majority of individuals escrow. So that's really what it translates back to, is they pay that monthly as a part of their mortgage payment. Not everybody. If you own your home, you typically don't, or you don't have to opt to do this, but a lot do. That also helps putting it into context in terms of the monthly related fees and the utility bills. With the waste management fee, you can see that $3.05 impact translates to an annual increase of $36. The water utility and sewer utility fee adjustments there. So cumulatively, year to year, the monthly increase will be about $18.62, with the annual increase being $223. And then in terms of tax avoidance, at the bottom there, you can see that based on a median home value of $388,000, the annual tax avoidance is $78, resulting from the 2-cent real estate tax rate reduction, or $6.50 a month. This slide here is just reflective of the real estate tax rates as dating back to 2018 within the Hampton Roads localities. Virginia Beach is that bottom line there, the darker blue. You can see Virginia Beach has been and continues to be the lowest rate in the region. Something, though, that's a little misleading about this, is you can see where City Council lowered the rate between FY21 and 22. You see that reduction there. In fact, City Council, Virginia Beach was the first one in the region to begin lowering the rate coming out of the recession. But then between 22 and 23, what the rate doesn't necessarily reflect is City Council's decision to absorb the bond referendum as opposed to increasing the real estate tax rate. The rate wasn't necessarily reduced, it was absorbed through the assessment increase, but there certainly was a tax avoidance to the public from what otherwise could have potentially taken place should City Council have decided to increase the tax rate. Again, here's another slide, just looking at a little bit more than the real estate tax rates. So this is the proposed tax rates reflective for Virginia Beach there for FY25 in the orange, compared with other Hampton Roads localities per their FY24 adopted operating budget. So you can see Virginia Beach real estate tax rate at the 97 cents, lowest in the region. Personal property tax on vehicles, Virginia Beach has the machinery and the boat tax, 1/millionth of a cent. There are only 3 of them in which Virginia Beach is not the lowest, and that's the automobile, the solid waste, and then the hotel flat tax. Some important dates for City Council and the public to be aware of. At the direction of City Council, we will be beginning budget presentations and CIP presentations next week. They will be continuing through the month of April. A couple of important special dates within April 17th and April 23rd. Public hearings on the proposed operating budget will be taking place on the 17th at the Convention Center and here at City Hall on April 23rd. Budget presentations will continue the following week with City Council's reconciliation process and workshop to be on May 7th, with a vote to adopt the budget May 14th, the day before the mandated deadline. So with that, I'll be glad to take questions.
Okay, just before we get started, my apologies for not announcing right at the beginning that Councilmember Taylor is home ill today, and we wish him the best and speedy recovery. And then, another thing, we have been having discussions about, having some meetings with the school board. But, it would be prudent to wait till we find out what's going to happen, with the governor with the budget. So I made a request, and the manager gave me a synopsis of two things. The Commonwealth's budget is still in limbo. The General Assembly version of the budget is proposing a significant additional funding for VB schools not included in the school's adopted budget. And also the governor has expressed strong concerns about the budget passed by the General Assembly. But once again, your things are kind of in a limbo state right now. And then I think once we have a further clarity, that I know this council really is motivated to have further collaboration with the school board. Okay. Anybody else? Any questions at this time? Worth?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Chalet, first of all, thank you and your staff for this presentation and for all the work. I know, again, it starts back in August, September, October last year. And my wife being a former staffer there, I understand the amount of work that goes into this. And also, following up upon the retreat to exceed or agree to try to help reduce the rate, but also balancing with city services. So that being said, and I think it's great that the reduction of the mill rate for real estate taxes is lower. I'm just concerned about next year. We'll think about next year. But I do want to make that comment that this is for this year, and the assessments and values may not go up next year or so. All that being said, I have three just general questions on the TAP, the tourist advertising program, the $500,000. Is that going to reduce our expenditures in advertising, or is that debt service associated with it?
So the TAP fund currently has a fund balance, an unobligated fund balance of around $11 million. So what this would result in is a potential gradual drawdown on that. I was talking with Nancy Hellman about this the other day. So we would not be reducing their contract ability to advertise for the city by $500,000. They would keep that in place. It would just be supported. The pay-go transfer out to the CIP would just be supported through an increased use of that fund balance to cover that over the 6-year period.
Number two, on page 28, the flood protection section going to $991 million. Is that related at all to the flood bond referendum?
It is. That would be the delta. So between the $567 million, the projects that were supported previously through the ERU, the delta between those two appropriations to date is that $330-something million balance to complete that delta. So going from the 634 request but not funded to the 991.
And just lastly, on the waste management fee, is that related to recycling?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry if I did not clarify that. That is specific to recycling, the full $3.
Thank you.
Okay, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mayor. I was thinking about the governor signing we're waiting to see what he'll sign and how he'll respond with the budget. But I do want to shout out my husband. So Senator Rouse did put in 2 bills, one for a cannabis framework and another for skilled gaming, that if the governor were to sign, would carve out funds for localities. So there's language in the bill that would trigger localities to be able to have additional revenue for paying for school modernization and those sorts of things. So as we're thinking about new revenue sources, I know that there needs to be collaboration from federal, state, and local. So fingers crossed that we can get some of that revenue down to Virginia Beach. When I had a meeting with the budget director, so thank you for your time and for the questions, and with the city manager, some of my questions were, how sustainable is this reduction? So if we were to do this year in response to some of the emails that we've gotten, which are very valid and trying to make sure that we're supporting residents, I imagine it would be very hard to then go to 99 cents again. And I wonder, in terms of city services, not only the more obvious ones, but some of the less visible ones, like maintaining IT infrastructure and all of these other things that have cost associated with it, how would we pay for it? And something that came to mind was, I'm from Virginia Beach, and part of the landscape growing up was the orange cones everywhere. And so CIP projects that keep getting kicked out and kicked out and kicked out and kicked out, because how are we going to pay for it? So in response, I'm thinking of the big picture. So I want to think about the impact long term. and to be able to maintain our services, but finish the projects that neighborhoods have been looking to get accomplished, how much more will this kick out these kinds of projects? And then a final one, just to throw the wrench in the conversation today. Something that's been just kind of gnawing at the back of my head, it might not be an appropriate conversation today, but we're talking about the budget. We're moving forward with the Park for Rudy Loop, and my question has been, how are we going to pay to maintain it? So this is going to be what I believe will be a beautiful park, but we're reducing the rate and we're trying to find new revenue sources. And this is going to be another major expenditure that I don't know how we're going to fund that. So these are questions that I have that I would like for us to consider as we're working through this budget.
Great. And, before I get to Barbara, Rosemary, and then Michael, and Jennifer, I think you're spot on in a lot of ways. But the reduction in the rate, there is still, and I think worth mention, the increase in assessments of the houses. And what it does do is to buffer that. Once again, I think we're going to have some additional, the fact is, the value of homes went up significantly. And so once again, I know that I got my tax bill, it's going up. But once again, it's to try to help mitigate things. And I think Worth also said we can evaluate this on a year-to-year basis because we don't know, hopefully the markets will, straighten out. I don't know. That's not my thing. But, we've been adaptable. I mean, I think a number of years ago, our rate was $1.22, back when I first started on council. And the other thing is too, by absorbing, the 4 cent on the stormwater, that's helping out a lot of people, and that's something that we were willing to do. Okay, Barbara, Rosemary, Michael.
Well, I have expressed this to, I think at the retreat as well as to the city manager when I had the briefing last week, is I really am concerned that we are, quote, redirecting existing dedicated funding sources. This has just long been a policy, a financial policy that the city council has had. If we're going to have or get a major project, we have to determine what the funding is before we can do the project. And that's how we have come up with these dedicated funding sources. And if we are going to start, quote, redirecting funds from those, I'm not sure, but that it upsets that balance that is necessary or was necessary to put this tax in place to fund it to begin with. And I was looking at, I had asked for this last year, and we got this June 30th of last year, the TIP fund projections. But in noticing this, which covered fiscal year adopted, fiscal year adjusted for both 23 and 24, the cumulative fund balance is going down each year as it is. And we have these expenditures that are in there with the taxes that were put in place to fund these expenditures. But if we're going to start now taking these for other things, I'm not sure how these projects that we funded these expenditures with are going to work. It concerns me because I think this has been a part of our very conservative financial policy that we have had over the years. And I think we're going to need to hear from our bond counsel if we're going to start taking away these dedicated funding sources, which have assured these projects that are in there are funded. Of course, ARP and open space are the top two on the list, and you know what that did to my heart. The last time we modified ARP was in the 18-19 budget, and at that time we met with the Ag Advisory Commission and we came to what needed to be done in that or could be done, and we came to an agreement, and we've been following that because when people sell their development rights, they sell in perpetuity. And it's pretty hard for us to come back and take away a project that we promised people when they sold their development rights in perpetuity that we were going to hang on to. And we have to make sure that that project continues to be funded at the right level, which fluctuates by interest rates and so forth. And then the open space program, we just refunded in the 22-23 budget because it had spent all the money that it had, still paying off the bonds. I think it's still a couple of years that that money has to pay off bonds rather than acquiring new open space projects. But that's only funded with 0.44% of 1 penny in the meal tax. So that doesn't have a great deal of funding anyway. So if we're going to go in and rob $500,000 a year out of the open space program, I'm not sure we're leaving enough to make that program even viable, certainly not to the level that it was. And we certainly didn't consult the open space committee for their opinion before we came up with this recommendation. So I think I'm really uncertain about this. I think we've had very good financial policies over the past years that have, kept our bond rating where it is. And I guess this, maybe it's Davenport that we need to talk with about our bond rating and debt and how we're going to pay off these things if we're going to start taking away that money for other things. So I know this is just a budget presentation and there will be time to discuss it with the public, but I think there's something about keeping the faith with the public too. For all of these dedicated funding sources, we increased the tax for a specific purpose. And if we're going back on that specific purpose, then maybe we need to repeal that tax and then reallocate it based on what this new thing is, because there's an awful lot to do with trust with the public and keeping commitments, and it makes me very nervous when we change our longstanding policies.
Rosemary, then Michael.
So next to Ms. Henley, I've had more budgets here than anyone else. She has the most experience. This will be my 24th budget. And as Bobby pointed out, when I got elected, I guess when you were elected, our tax rate was $1.22. I've seen it at $1.22. I've seen it at 89 cents. And so what am I saying here is we can't control the assessments. And I know a lot of you are hearing, like I am, people are pretty upset because the assessments aren't equal across the city. I have a good friend that got a 1% assessment. Mine was 68%. You talked to someone, Mr. Bellucci, a couple of days ago who was like 68%. So because it's so widely fluctuating, it's not like we can say everybody's the same, because it's not. And there's a lot of people who are retirees, they're on fixed incomes, and their biggest asset is their house. And keeping up with the taxes has been really, really hard for them. Last year, we had 3 members of this council who voted against the budget because there wasn't any tax relief. So I think what Kevin and Patrick have done here is, I think they've done a masterful job in giving us something so that we can have some balance for the public. The dedications, well, we've had dedications like for Sandbridge, and so much money was going into Sandbridge, that rate was reduced because there was ample amount of funds there. I know the ARP's got $19 million sitting there. A lot of money, and some of the others, and so a 2% reduction, I think, could probably be managed. And if we get into a position in the future, which the budget is really a living, breathing document that we do every year, that can also be adjusted. But we have an opportunity here to have some balance to help those that are really hurting from the taxes. I'm a widow. It can be really hard, but I don't want to sell my place and move. I have to stay in District 5, that's for sure. But here's an opportunity to give some balance, which we didn't do last year. Last year was the big budget of education and EMS. And I really want to applaud your staff, Kevin, and what y'all have done here. I think a 2% on the deduction, on the dedications is pretty small, really. Especially, you looked at the fund balance, and there's quite a bit there. And I want you to know how much I appreciate what you've done.
Hey, Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. I have 2 comments and a question. So I'll start with the comments. The first is, I've talked to a lot of residents who, as Vice Mayor stated, have real life implications related to the rise in the assessments, year over year rise in the assessments. The last 3 years, the assessments have risen dramatically, and many residents are not able to meet their, or are not in a position to thrive in their families and in their households as a result of this dramatic rise. I've personally spoken to 2 people who said, I'm not going to be able to go see my grandkids this year. That's a real world implication that results from these continuous rise in assessments. So I think to address, and I think Councilmember Rouse brought up a really good point, and I applaud her for thinking, so far out and holistically about how these, what these decisions, what the long-term implications are. But I think we're probably going to have to be responsive to the conditions of the day and be reflexive. And the conditions of today are that the assessments are rising at an unsustainable rate, and I think it's incumbent upon us to be responsive to that rise, and not only in assessments, but just the inflationary pressures on Virginia Beach citizens and families and households. So I do support an exploration in reducing the rate, and I hope that that's something that we're able to achieve, because I have personally experienced, and I'm also in communication with many people whose lives are directly impacted by not only the rise in assessments, but by the inflationary budgetary pressures that households and families are experiencing. So that's one comment that I want to make. The other comment that I'd like to make is with regard to the dedications. I think there's a lot of misinformation being advanced about this, and what we really have to decide, as we expressed in the retreat, is, do those dedications and the values contained within match our priorities and values in 2024? Many of those dedications were established a long time ago, and while they are very important, there are also many other things that Virginia Beach citizens care about. And I think what's on the table and what we're exploring is if we could potentially create some efficiencies and a realignment around those dedications to more completely and fully match our values and our priorities in 2024 and looking into the future. And I'm very sure that we can. I don't know that any of those things in any way diminishes our relationship with the public or public trust. In fact, I think having an open conversation about those things enhances public trust, because we're being responsive to the community's needs today and what we anticipate would be the community's needs. So I'm looking forward to this conversation about dedication, to make sure that our investments and our policy decisions that were created 20, 40 years ago match and are able to be realigned in some cases to our priorities today in 2024 and beyond. So finally, if I could just ask a question about recycling. I think this is a big headline coming out of this. So your proposed budget includes no change in recycling services. And that's based on the community surveys and responses that you received, and we received a report on. I just wonder if you could kind of unpack that a little further.
So the recycling contract is expiring July 1 or June 30th of this year. And because it's expired, we had to put it back out via RFP. And we briefed council before. The recycling industry has changed dramatically, and it costs it a lot more to recycle. To maintain the same service that the citizens are currently being provided, the cost went up dramatically. And basically, it'll cost us another $3.05 to provide the same baseline services related to recycling. As part of that, council asked us to get some community feedback, and overwhelmingly it came back that the public was in support of recycling, including raising the cost. They didn't say what type of cost it went to, but the preponderance of folks wanted recycling, and they were okay with paying a cost increase associated with it. So as such, we are bringing forward the recycling costs inside of our budget so the council could hear the public feedback and garner some feedback from the public itself, and then make a decision whether it wants to keep that in the recommended budget. I would say, though, the options really are recycling or not to recycle, because there is really, the alternative would be for the city to take it in-house. And for the city to take that in-house, it would cost us more to provide these services in-house than what we currently get via contract. And also, there was a couple options about maybe an opt-in program. Those seem not to be successful because the current provider of the recycling is the person that controls that, and they want to manage the process of recycling, and they weren't necessarily open to the opt-in model when Chesapeake, our sister city, went through that process as well. So I hope that answers your question, sir.
It does, especially the part about it's a kind of a binary choice. And I think that's what we really need to be aware of. That's what's gonna be my follow-up. Is there any room for, I mean, if we hear from the public and they don't want that price to go up that high, or, you know, we get different information than we get on the survey, what's the choice? And you're saying that is the choice. So that's good to know. Thank you.
Okay, Sabrina, Josh, Amelia, Hutch.
Thank you. I wanted to provide one comment, certainly that is certainly positive, and one is that is a critique of the budget. First, I would say I appreciate the staff certainly for their hard work, but also for highlighting the tax relief that we have had in the past and that exists now. I think it's very important because I get a lot of calls, especially regarding senior and veteran tax relief. And I think one thing as the city and as a body we should do more of is highlighting those programs and making sure we get the word out, because a lot of people, they don't know. And so bringing awareness to those programs is paramount. The second comment I have is a critique of the budget. And it is just a critique for this moment, because I'm sure that I'll have additional questions and critiques later on. But when I was reviewing the budget yesterday in a meeting, one thing that stood out to me was Rudy Loop and the $60 million that was found for that. I remember us talking about the $4 million for development and so forth, but to see the $60 million there in the budget certainly really piqued my interest, because I know there are certainly Rudy Loop, of course, is certainly a worthy project. And I know that that's something that we should certainly work towards developing. But however, I think about, being at a candidate forum not too long ago, and Worth and I have talked about this, Councilmember Remick. We've talked about CTAC and just their need for $2 million for a parking lot. Now, we know CTAC has come before us many, many, many times, at least the 5 years that I've been here, asking for just priority funding for their area, for their neighborhood. And the $2 million that they were asking for was for a parking lot that was actually somehow reduced and taken away because of some other development. So for them, it is certainly a serious ask, but one that is, certainly understandable when they have, a park where they go to, they don't have enough parking spaces, and it's something that they need. And so I think we could find a way to get or to retrieve that $2 million from the TIP fund. We found $60 million for Rudy Loop. So let us also find $2 million for that particular project for their parking lot. So I hope that's something we can do. And understanding, in my efforts, I've been on, council for, this is going on 6 years. And I know the project for the rec center in District 7 has certainly been passed over many times and just couldn't seem to find that funding. But we certainly do find funding for what we want to. And that's just, my thoughts the last 5 years. And I won't harp on the District 7 Rec Center, because I hope to have a resolution for that soon in some other matters. But I would say it's been mentioned that 3 people voted against the budget last time because there was not enough tax relief. I was one of them. And I did so because the past 5 years, seeing the budget process, not having as much transparency, and it not having that tax relief there, for me, after 5 years, I knew that if I did not speak up and vote against the budget, which I've never done before, there would not be change. And so it's good to see change, us talking about change. It's a 2-cent reduction. The fix, perhaps, maybe not. I'm sure we'll do more discussion in that aspect. But I'm glad to see some progress being made and changing the way we think about spending and allocating taxpayer dollars. That's very important, and citizens have always asked about that. I would also say, in terms of the dedications, I like to see more work done in that area, because I'm sure there are some allocations that we know since the 1990s, 1970s. Some of those dedications can be either, if not removed at the offset or removed out of the budget. We want to see if perhaps there is something else that can perhaps be funded, and that can be in the way of programs for teens, young adults. What else takes priority after 20, 30, 40, 50 years? I think that's the way we should really look at those dedications and allocations. And then, also continuing to look at the feedback from the public that they've provided for us, and those different conversations we've had about the budget and about the community, as well as aligning them with the mission of the city. So thank you.
Yeah, I think Amelia's up.
Yes, mine is very short, and thank you so much, Kevin and Patrick, for putting this together. A couple of things, actually 2, that I wanted to mention to do with that modest. If you can go back over the 3 prongs that you used.
Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am.
Is modest. That is not a huge amount being taken out. If people actually knew what were all in these dedicated fundings. But just to stress what you mentioned about the reserve, about if you redirected, how much impact it would be. So you all were very careful on how you took what you took out. And if redirected, what would their fund balance? And I think by putting all 3, you were able to do what you did, because we knowing what those balances are, this is modest. And also, I concur with Councilmember Belushi and Wilson and Wooden about the 2%, because we have to find relief in some way. Thank you.
Okay, Josh and Hutch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kevin, I want to say thank you to you and your staff, who I know are seated in the gallery. You do an incredible job of explaining something that is incredibly complicated, and you are extremely responsive, and you do great work. So, and you go out on road shows in the community doing the same thing, answering questions to civic leagues and town halls and all of that. So appreciate your availability and your hard work. Just being this, this being my second year on the council, I've come to understand the budget as just a whole series of choices. And, having joined the council in January of last year, I also understand the budget to have been already kind of halfway through the process. So when when we got last year's budget, those of us who are new to the council, it didn't necessarily reflect the new council's priorities. But this one I think does, and I think that this proposed budget does a really good job of not only reflecting our priorities, but I feel as though through the retreats and through the workshops that we've had discussing some of the challenges that we're faced as a city, I think you've done a great job, Mr. Manager, of listening to us. Particularly with the dedications, and I too share Councilwoman Henley's concerns in some respect that we need to be mindful of what these funds are set up to achieve. But at the same time, I also agree with Councilmember Berlucci in that we need to reconcile what the purposes were and are versus what our priorities are now and what the demands of our citizens are. And I think, and Councilwoman Ross Hammond, you put it well. I think these are modest reductions, and importantly, they were across the board. And these are funds with healthy fund balances that are able to cover the debt service associated with obligations that are supported by those funds. So I think it sets up a good conversation for later, but this was a good way to, kind of, across the board, fix a problem and to address our desire to reduce the rate. Speaking of the rate, I do, 2 cents is $70 a year to somebody who owns a $350,000 home. And I think it is a good gesture that we made. I mean, these are obviously historic times that we're living in terms of assessments, and hopefully the market will settle out and we won't be seeing these year-over-year assessment increases the way we have been, and things will normalize. I think we did have to make a gesture in response to the demands that have been voiced to us by the public in the face of those rising assessments. I'd be remiss if I didn't think about the folks who were not touching with this tax relief. And by that I mean people who don't own homes, people who don't own real estate. And last year, you helped educate me in terms of some of we're very limited in terms of the relief other than real estate tax relief that we can offer. Personal property taxes being one of them, vehicle registrations being another one of them. And I also learned that those are calendar year taxes. So if we decided we wanted to give relief in any of those areas right now, people wouldn't even feel it until next April. And if you want to talk about $70 a year, it'd be even less. But if you hit some of those items, and not to mention vehicle registration, where people oftentimes pay multiple years in advance, and that's essentially an accounting nightmare trying to figure that out. So I want just my comments. I want the public to understand that I think we all are. I certainly am sensitive to the fact that not everybody owns a home, and not everybody's going to get this tax relief. And this may actually disproportionately benefit people, of higher means, because they necessarily have properties that are worth more. This will also be tax relief to commercial property owners, and it's kind of an imperfect way of kind of addressing the problem. But I do support giving the real estate tax relief because of these rising assessments. And lastly, just a quick question, just so I make sure I understand the Parks and Rec modernization. We are resourcing in this year's budget, or you're proposing $4 million that wasn't there before, and then you're moving the $10 million a year ahead. Is that correct? And then we're just basically going to be it's a way to kind of push the conversation to sooner in time.
Correct. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, again, I just want to say thank you very much, and you've done some great work, and I look forward to the budget presentations in the following weeks.
Oh, I'm sorry, Patrick.
And Mr. Mayor, just before Councilmember Hutchison speaks, I just want to clarify the real reason why we're bringing the Parks and Recreation situation forward is because of the Parks and Rec Department is at a point now where they have to make decisions about replacing the roofs and making masonry adjustments. And if they go down that path and start to do that work, then there's really no path for modernization because we're not going to put in a $2-3 million roof and do the masonry work that needs to happen and then knock it all back down or rip it all up to modernize it. So it's really a matter of necessity while we're moving it. Obviously, if council wants us to move in a direction, we certainly can. But it's just to think about the asset and the recapitalization of this while we're moving it at this pace.
Comment on that.
Oh, yeah, comment on that.
Just a question on that. Now, the dedication for the Parks and Recreation is not proposed to be changed.
Councilmember Henley, that's correct. The dedications that have more obligations than resources projected were held harmless. For example, the flood protection program, we know that 567 is now roughly $1 billion. That one wasn't impacted because the obligations in that dedication outweigh the resources that are coming in.
And so the dedication for Parks and Rec was as a result of a bond question in the 80s.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were not planning to adjust that. They're still going to get their
3.476.
funding source from that. If you could make a list of the dedicated funding sources and then which ones are remaining and which ones are being changed and why, I would appreciate your analysis.
Okay, Hutch.
Yeah. So just real quick for me, this is my first budget sitting here. But I had 10 over in the gallery there, so I've had some experience.
On both sides.
Yes, sir. And I was going to say to Kev that it feels a lot nicer to sit on this side than that side, but I can't say that because I have some butterflies and some consternation going on right now with all that we're talking about. Just to be quite honest. So, but I wanted to first start with something you said, and I know how you feel, but I'm going to get you to say it again. Is that y'all are good. Your team is good, right? We have Virginia Beach. We have the people that come here that are the best of the best. It's okay. I believe in it.
I might be a little biased, but I
I'm with
do
you.
believe
But
it.
I am as well, right? So my question is then when you tell us on something that you feel comfortable moving in that direction, whether it be the dedications, I don't care what it is, that we can pretty well take to the bank that y'all are moving us in the right direction safely, right?
We try our best.
Yep,
Yes, sir.
I know it. And I know that dealing with Katie, she single-handedly took the public safety CIP that I can speak for a few years ago. And she worked, sorry, Katie, I'm just, but it's the truth. She took it and made it, Jen is sitting up there. It worked. All of a sudden it became workable, stuff that wasn't workable before. So I say that to then say that when you talk about these things, I think we should respect y'all that you are bringing us what you know to be true. And that I support you for that. I just wanted to state that. So when we start talking about the dedications, I want to be clear is that I'm one of them that wants to look at it. But I like the term, and Michael's used it, and I've used it now, is that we're talking about right sizing. Not talking about taking away, and Ms. Henley just proved my point in that we're not looking at Parks and Rec, and we're not looking at a couple of the others because they are, in your professional opinion, a little too close to call.
Correct.
And I appreciate that, and that's all I'm asking for. If you say it's not, then that's where we are, and we'll look somewhere else. But I'm also saying that right now there are 17 firefighters on that list. I think there should be more. I'm gonna bring that up. So if it comes out of the dedications or if it comes from somewhere else, I'm going to be looking for that to happen. You know me. So with that, I'm going to get off that soapbox. The $3.05. Sorry, thanks, Mike. The $3.05. God, there was a lot of consternation over this beforehand and what happened in Chesapeake and everything else. And for me, $3 a month I don't feel is that big a deal, to be quite honest. And it would come to something that happened in the fire department all the time. It was the Staples Fund. Somebody doesn't want to pay for coffee, but they read the paper. Somebody doesn't want to use the sugar or the creamer, but they read the paper. You know, it's kind of like you can't do that. You can't do a partial program. It never works. You're either in or you're out. And I think we should be. I think we should be in. So, and then one last question, and I'll be quiet. The schools, I see you sitting over there. Why did they do their budget before? Why did they start preparing their budget before we start preparing our budget when they get their money, most of their money from us? Can anybody explain that to me? And it's all right if that's just the way it is. It just to me it seems a little out of kilter.
That's driven by the Virginia statutory scheme.
Okay. Yeah, you know what I mean? It just seems a little odd. Thank you, sir.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I got you. That's okay too.
Darn lawyers.
It's the cards that are dealt to
Darn
us.
lawyers.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, anybody else at this point? Amelia?
I just wanted to say thank you that Cleveland Street is back in play. Because last year, it's taken out because of the redirecting, but you have that back. And for those for District 4 in the Central Business District, with the homes there, just to know we're not raising the SSD with that. There's no additional raise because they were wondering what would happen. So I just want us to say thanks and for them to be aware it stays the same.
Mm-hmm.
And Cleveland Street really needs work. Thank you.
Hey, anybody else at this point? Kevin, I want to thank you, the manager and the staff for a magnificent, this is a tough time of year. This is the time of year city councils really dread. The Marine Corps has a saying, when confronted with problems, improvise, adapt, and overcome. And I think you have really, really done that in a very extraordinary way. The nature of government, especially local government, it's a dynamic flow, ever changing every year from one thing to the next. You can never count on sources from the federal, state government, or what's going to happen with assessments and, with things of that nature. And trying to find a balance, basically among whether it be us 11 or any, city council in this nation, everybody has some competing priorities, but we always try to get to the best possible solution in the end. But, I want to hearken on, what Wirt said about, perhaps looking forward to the future, that maybe things may be brighter in the real estate market. A report came out yesterday, and I'll be willing to share this with everybody. U.S. News and listed the 20 hottest real estate market in the country. We came out number 3, okay, in terms of what's going on there. And, I think this bodes well for us. It was based on a number of factors. Once again, we are confronted with our own individual challenges, but where do we stand as a city compared to other cities that are out there? Over the years, traditionally, we were regarded as a high quality life in Virginia Beach. We've been regarded as a well-run city with a very good bond rating. We have traditionally high satisfaction, indices from our folks. And there was one little other tidbit I'll leave this with, because once again, today was just the first step of a long journey that we're going to have to get to mid-May. But a couple of weeks ago, some folks from the Hampton Roads Real Estate Association came in and talked to me. And they said they have some 5,000 members in their organization throughout Hampton Roads, and 70% of them live in Virginia Beach. And I think that bodes well when people in the industry, pick a place like this to live. And once again, I think what your budget does is maintain and maybe in some ways continue to excel the services that our folks expect from us, to keep that quality of life going. The safest city, the great schools that we have. But once again, we're going to have to confront the realities of our future obligations in the areas of stormwater, roads, infrastructure, making sure that we have a well-trained, well-motivated workforce. And I think you accomplished that as the first step going forward. Thank you all, and thank you all, council members, for your participation. Yep. Okay, at this point, any council discussions or? Yeah, okay, let's go with Worth, Josh, and Rosemary.
Thanks, Mayor. You joined me Saturday morning. This past weekend, the Shamrock Marathon took place at the oceanfront. It's more than a marathon. It's the kids have a 1 mile run on Saturday morning. And this is I think the 52nd year for the Shamrock. Jerry and Amy Frostick at J&A Racing, 22,000 runners were at the oceanfront Saturday and Sunday. It was quite a show in the middle part of March. So I just want to congratulate and thank the Frosticks and J&A Racing for continuing to put this program on. It was a beautiful weekend for weather, and it just does a lot for our city and our citizens. But I also understand that 60% of those 22,000 runners were from out of the city of Virginia Beach. So it's good for both our citizens and our tourists.
Yeah, but Worth, you and I talked. It's amazing, that we have an operation at the oceanfront, for that matter, all over, that can handle these type of events. When you saw the sea of runners out there, 22,000, but what you saw there was years of efficiency and operation, coordinating with, our public works, with our public safety, with our crowd management control, traffic control, seeing the police and, the sheriffs out there, taking care it was a flawless event, and I, thank you for there. Okay, Josh, and then Michael, and then Rosemary. I know. You said it might right here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I asked the clerk to distribute in your blue packets around the table a couple of PowerPoint slides that we saw from last week's presentation, where we were introduced to 5 proposed road improvement projects that we had considered to pursue smart scale funding for. And I wanted to call to your attention one of them, which is in District 9, and it's the Independence Boulevard and Haygood Road intersection. I learned that it was the #1 congested intersection in our city that didn't have any funded improvements. And there were relatively few options in terms of trying to deal with that intersection that didn't involve property acquisition and wouldn't cost in excess of 10 or 20 tens of millions or even $100 million or more. So what staff had recommended was eliminating one of the movements at that intersection, and that is the cross traffic that currently exists between Haygood Road and Wishart Road, so that there would be no east-west direct traffic across that intersection. And I travel that route every day, and because I live nearby, and what that would end up doing is it would do one of two things. It would essentially force people coming out of the neighborhood or coming into the neighborhood off Haygood to do U-turns on Independence across several travel lanes where people are going in excess of 45, 50 miles an hour, limited visibility because of either trees or opposing traffic that are lined up to take turns, and creating for dangerous situations, where there's no traffic signal, where you've got shopping centers on either side of Independence, and it just creates for a dangerous situation, I think, for people who are contemplating a U-turn to get into or out of the neighborhood. And then the other thing it could have done is if people didn't want to take a U-turn, it would have forced people into the neighborhoods to try and find alternative routes, to get out or into the neighborhood. And what that would do is, and I know we've all heard about, people complaining about increased, speeding through neighborhoods and such. So for those and some other reasons, including the fact that I've heard from neighborhood, the Wishart Cove neighborhood, the Wichita Civic League, the Aragona Civic League, Lake Smith, and I live in Thorogood. So I would, and I've communicated to the Public Works Director, I've communicated to the manager that it's my desire that we do not, seek grant funding for this fix or this proposed fix. But because I'm one of 11, I just wanted to share my concerns with you, since we had previously directed the manager on all 5 of those to go ahead and submit for pre-applications for funding. If you would be in agreement with me that we just pull this from the list. And I just don't, I think it was good intention to try and solve throughput on Independence. I just don't think the consequences of pushing traffic into the neighborhoods are really worth it. So if anybody has any issue with that, I'd appreciate you letting me know as much, but otherwise I would just ask for your agreement in terms of pulling this from the list of projects.
Patrick?
And staff defers to council, and council didn't pass anything legislatively yet. You basically just gave verbal direction for us to move in that direction with a pre-application. It's just a pre-application. So if we don't particularly have any opposition to it, if council wants us to move in that direction. So if I'm hearing none, Mayor, is it okay for us to move in that direction? Just
yeah. Okay.
So basically what I'm hearing, Mayor, is it's okay for us to withdraw that application for the particular project that you mentioned, Councilmember Schulman.
Okay. And forgive me, Rosemary, I overlooked. I'm sorry.
Well, I first of all want to give a great shout out to our mayor and city manager for the state of the city. For the dynamic duo of knocking it out of the park. I think it was one of the best I've ever seen. And when you look at what the other state of the cities are across our region, we have so much to be proud of. And Bobby, I never knew you were such a great actor.
Oh, no.
Don't keep him off the coffee. Make sure he has plenty of coffee. But you just 1,200 people there, and I mean, people have just been talking about it all week because it was so phenomenal. You really did us proud, and I just want to thank. And who else has that combination with the show? What great relationship we have between our elected body and our staff is to have both of you up there, and I couldn't have been more proud of you. And then just one other little thing, I think most of you know that I've been working on the school board committee of career and technical education, because I think we've all heard that we've got to have more alternatives of vocational education for our young people when they come out of high school. Not everybody wants to go to college, not everybody can afford to go to college, and you can get a really good skill and make a lot of money, plus the workforce needs these workers. And so we have pretty much wound up our recommendations, and the school board, we're going to present before the school board March 26th what they are, and I would hope that this body would allow us to bring, during a workshop, the recommendations from this group. So, everything we can do to make it better is always a good thing.
And if I could just say, thank you, Rosemary and council, but, when Patrick and I, were figuring out what we wanted the theme to be of the state of the city, and I started off by saying no mayor does anything by him or herself. It's a council that's got to come together. It's a city management, city employees. Yeah, but I think most of all the people of Virginia Beach that live here, work, and play here. And it really takes a lot of effort to become the city that we have become. And it's because of so many hard work of so many people that are out there. If you notice, a lot of it was really pointing shout outs to so many different people. Take Cadillac Harris. This guy has been doing tremendous work for so many years. Let's give them recognition. they are as important as anybody, what it takes to run a city like this. We are truly a remarkable and unique city in so many ways, and we are defined by the people. Thank you. Yeah. Michael.
Mayor. Want to go, Amelia? I'll go after you.
Quickly.
Don't forget about me.
I won't forget about
That was a song, but yeah, I remembered it. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, even though our vice mayor could not make, because she was coughing up, she didn't want her germs to be passed along the area for the human trafficking. We had over 60-some people attend. She had Honorable Ann Tater from the attorney's office, Tanya Gould, and there was someone else from our public safety, but it had a really.
Officer Wilson.
Officer Wilson. So a really nice turnout over at the Filipino Culture Center. The only thing I missed was the Olympia, their food. I said, ooh, I'm in here. They should have something like that. But it was very interesting, and to hear the amount of people and families for this human trafficking. She said the eldest person was 102. So it tells you how it hits from little kids all the way up through. It was very, very informative.
Thank you for filling in.
People enjoyed it. So I pretended I was vice mayor for that day when she called me. But congratulations on the great turnout and your legislative aide, Deb.
Oh, Deb did an amazing
She
job.
did an amazing job back there.
Thank you for filling in.
Hey, Michael.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a couple of things. One is that tomorrow evening from 6 to 8 at the Bow Creek Rec Center, we're hosting a Virginia Beach Public Safety Forum. And I think this is going to be a great opportunity for citizens from all across the city, especially those in District 3 and around Bow Creek, just to come and hear updates from public safety professionals and leaders from every department in public safety portfolio, including the Sheriff's Office and Emergency Communications, Police, Fire, EMS. I think these are really important updates to receive, to learn about what's happening in Virginia Beach related to safety, how we can work together to improve safety, both on the PD side, but also on the health and wellness side, and taking care of our neighbors, looking out for our neighbors. So I hope that everyone who's interested will join us 6 to 8 at Bow Creek Rec Center. And then I have some other, I think, hopefully informative and interesting forums planned and on the way. And then finally, I just want to note that after serving 4 consecutive terms, plus 1 unexpired term on the Virginia Beach Human Rights Commission, Beatrice Amberman will be rolling off at the end of this month. I had the opportunity, the pleasure really, to be with her at her last Human Rights Commission for now. Maybe she'll consider coming back. But for those of you who don't know Beatrice, and those of you who do, I just want to thank her profusely for her outstanding and profound public service at the Human Rights Commission and beyond. Many of you know Beatrice is a leader in the Hispanic community. She is currently the chair of the Virginia Coalition of Latino Organizations. She is one of the most respected, one of the most proficient, one of the most professional, kind, and compassionate leaders and community servants that I have ever had the pleasure to meet in Virginia Beach. I know her presence at the Human Rights Commission will be missed, but I'm also excited about what she might do next in Virginia Beach, which I think will be very good. So I hope you all join me in thanking Beatrice for her really wonderful service and for being such a good friend and neighbor. I was a member of the Human Rights Commission. She was a member when I joined, and she took me under her wing and really taught me a lot about the Human Rights Commission, but most importantly about our city, people who live here. So I'll miss Beatrice at HS.
Why don't we consider a proclamation or a resolution?
I think that would be.
Once again, this is the type of person that really helps define what Virginia Beach is.
So I don't know where the camera is, but thank you, Beatrice. Love you.
Anybody else? Yeah, Sabrina.
I wanted to highlight a couple of businesses. One would be, I attended a grand opening for, it's called Camp Bow Wow and it's located in District 7. And I went in to view and take a tour of the facility. And I would say, certainly, I believe they take up to 100 and maybe 40 dogs. I think that's their capacity. But it's a place where people can take their dog for maybe some short periods of time, and the staff watches over the dog until the owner comes back. But it's a pretty sizable facility. They've thought of everything. They have security cameras. They have places outside in the back with green space for the dogs to run around. They have secure little areas where they put their things, their food and different things. But it was immaculate, and the staff was very friendly. And it's a one of a kind. And they decided to come to Virginia Beach and open up this location. So I just really wanted to say thank you to the staff. They were so friendly, and let everyone know about this new opportunity for their dogs if they so choose to need daycare for them. Again, it's called Bow Wow Camp. The other interesting business, I was listening to the radio and I heard about Blue Seafood and Spirits located on Upton Drive in Virginia Beach, that they have been rated the #1 seafood restaurant in Virginia Beach by Yelp. And I thought that was very important. The news report talked about how excited they were, and all of the outpouring from the citizens and everyone and customers were so happy that they were highlighted. So I thought it was very important that we have right here in Virginia Beach one of the top seafood areas that has been recognized by Yelp. Lastly, as I mentioned previously before, the Independent Citizens Review Board had their first meeting last Thursday at Ebenezer Baptist Church, where they had a town hall for people to come out and get to understand what the first Independent Citizens Review Board is all about. This is certainly very important for our city, very important for our community. So I'd also like to announce their first hearing will be tomorrow, actually. They'll be taking their first case, and they are open to taking cases at this time. They've been trained, and they're poised and ready to take cases. Also, their second and next town hall meeting will be April 6th at the Oceanfront Library. And that will start, I believe, at 6:30. So if anyone's interested in coming out to meet the individuals who sit on that board, please come out, get to know them and meet them. Thank you.
Hey, anybody else? Hutch?
Just real quick, sir, myself and Councilwoman Rouse and Senator Rouse and Sheriff Rocky Holcomb, the former #1 district council member, we all went to and the mayor. I forgot you rushed in from the
Shamrock. Yeah, I opened the Shamrock and
came to the Pony Colt baseball field at Kempsville.
in the nick of time.
Just in the nick of time, as always. But it was good. It was real good that you were there and that you spoke, and we had a good time and got to play with the kids a little bit and see all that they were doing. It was a lot of fun. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and just briefly, nobody can do a successful State of the City without a lot of hard work for a lot of people. Basically, Patrick and I show up at the end, and the scripts have been written, the film and the organization, working with the chamber and everything, and it was a true community fun thing. But if I give one shout out to the group Blackstreet that did the national anthem, that by far was, in my view, having attended hundreds, if not thousands, of national anthems, one of what's most touching and compelling, things by a group of our local artists, Grammy winners. Thank you all very much. Okay, so now we'll get ready and, wait a minute. Oh, consent.
Hopefully. I think we only have one speaker, is that correct? Right. And that is for number 13, under ordinance and resolutions. So, under ordinance and resolutions, does anyone have, Barbara?
I do have, I'd just like some clarification on the resolution 4. I had, been asking about this because this primarily involves the sports tourism infrastructure. And I think as I've read back through all of the stuff we got for the last 2 years on that area, it was because when we were looking at this issue last September 5th, we had this report that talked about the potential sports facility opportunities. And when we said that we wanted to deal with the existing rather than the new ones, I was looking at this list, which included the covering of the YMCA pool that was recommended, and also we had talked about the Virginia Beach National Golf Course in that area and the fact that it has a lot of problems with flooding. And so I was just really surprised when we looked at only 4 facilities for this money. And then I read in this, of course, report that when the contract was let to Victus in November, it confined it to just those 4 facilities. I didn't realize that we had intended to just confine it to those 4 facilities, because there are other things in that area too. And I was looking at these other things. So this is why I really would like for us to have a master plan, and I do not want another consultant. We have wonderful staff and wonderful advisory committees that can pull together a good master plan for this area so that we're looking at all of it, because we've got a lot of other really fine things in that area that need some help too, plus some other things that could come along. And I know the trails, connecting trails, are just a very basic idea of that, but Victus was prohibited from including those things, even though when they interviewed people, they talked about them, because this had confined them to these 4 facilities. And I really hope that we're going to be open to looking at that whole area, and this won't be the end of it. And that's why I would really like to, I'll be glad to, since it's in my district, work on a pulling together a master plan for the area. I think we've got the very basic part of it in our ITA study that's already done. But we really have other very fine facilities already existing there that need some work too. And I hope we haven't prohibited work on them as well, because I heard just 2 weeks ago when there was we were getting rain every other day, that the golf course over there was about as wet and those ponds were as full as they had ever been. So we really have other facilities over there that need work too. It's not just confined to these 4. But then I'd like some clarification on the second part of this, that the city manager is directed to create options for establishing a dedicated funding source for arts and culture from existing funding dedications, excluding the general fund. I certainly have no problem with having a dedicated funding source for arts and culture, but I do have problems, since we're already taking from these existing dedications to balance the budget, that now to create a funding source for this new arts and culture is confined to having to take away from those existing funding sources. Is that what this means?
It's just that council just asking for a report and a presentation at this time. Council could take that information and then take action, but I don't think council's asking us to take any action right now. This goes into kind of the work that came out of the retreat, right? So council at the retreat asked us to bring the 2-cent reduction across the entire budgeting operations of the city to include schools and also all the dedications. Also, as part of that, council also asked us to look at all the dedications and look at their obligations and their capacity after their obligations, and bring a report back to council for council to have a better picture on what they're able to reprioritize for taxpayer relief or to better align with council's current priorities. I see that as part of that work. And when we bring the options for that as well, we'll also include the information as it pertains to options for council to consider for a sustainable funding source for arts and culture. And council's given us 20-day timeline to bring that, so we'll bring both of those things to council within the 20-day timeline. But
Well, I
didn't
have
get
no
any
idea,
direction that we're doing
no
anything.
problem if it's like you said. But what this specifically says is that this new dedicated funding source for arts and culture is going to be taken away from the existing sources. And I don't think there's capacity in those to do what you would want to do for arts and humanities. Besides, all of the things that they are getting now, I guess, are in the general fund, but this excludes the general fund money. So what they're getting now from the general fund wouldn't be able to be just rolled into this. So if this could be just changed to say that you'll just give us options for establishing a dedicated funding source for arts and culture and stop right there, I can support it. But to say that it's got to come from existing dedications and not the general fund, and that you've got to do this within 20 days, I don't know, I'm not in favor of that, because I think these existing dedicating funds are being hit pretty hard to balance your budget. And to be able to now also say that they have to fund this new one, I don't think is realistic.
Okay. Yeah, Josh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since we're talking about item 3, I just had or item 4, I had a quick question about it. Assuming it moves forward, if it does, these recipients, is it city procurement that's going to be used for these, or I just want, it looks like we're potentially getting a lot of turf, so hopefully all of that is kind of, we realize some economies of scale there. And,
So generally, since there already are facilities that we already have contracts with them, likely probably what will happen is that we'll probably execute a funding agreement with those 4 entities and then spell out the terms and conditions that they're supposed to honor. And they will probably be the ones to contract for the services. That's what I think right now. Obviously, we'll talk to the city attorney's office and they'll let us know if there's any complications to that. But generally, I think because we already either own the facility or the operator, we could probably get the operator to do it and to bypass some of that stuff related to time. Yeah.
okay, and I guess while I'm going, I just wanted to at least let y'all know that on item 3, I just want to say thank you to Councilwoman Henley for sitting down and going through some questions that she had relative to the stormwater management group. And I do have a revised draft that I was supposed to get to you before today, but I just sent it over today for you to take a look at. And I'm going to be requesting a deferral today. I haven't really decided as to when. I'll have to look at the calendar,
Well,
but
just say it definite.
indefinite, but I'd like to get it back next month. Yeah,
Well, I mean, that's right.
yeah, indefinite, but it'll be coming back.
Michael.
I'd just like to take a moment to respond to Mrs. Henley's question, and I do appreciate the question. I think on the question about dedication for arts and culture, I think it's simply a matter of exploring what's possible. And so I do want to kind of attempt to alleviate her concerns. I understand what the language says, and that is something that I personally, and I do think the sponsors are asking the manager to explore as part of the process. But the process could also be expansive enough to include any number of options related to establishing a dedicated fund for arts and culture, which we've heard from the public is incredibly important. So this is simply a request to explore ideas. That's all it is. And then we'll have a discussion about those ideas within 20 days, hopefully, as part of the budget process. So I want to assure Mrs. Henley that all of her concerns and questions related to the dedication will be considered and will be part of the dialogue. And I hope you should consider supporting it.
Well, at least just in the heading for this, it says to create options for a dedicated funding source for arts and culture using existing funding dedications. So it's right here in your specific
But that's
direction.
subject to modification.
I'm sorry.
This is just.
I have learned not to put my name on something unless I'm absolutely sure that's
Okay.
what I want to support. So until I can do that, I can't support it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Are we okay to go forward with this?
It's a no.
No
from
for
you.
Barbara. Okay.
Okay, so deferral on number 3 indefinitely. 4, Ms. Henley's going to vote no. Anything else on these items?
Excuse me, I do have a question. This is under ordinance 5. I think this is, I remember seeing this, it was something we discussed for the legislative package for the General Assembly. I remember asking for more information about it to really see and consider what it was. But this, Mr. Dehaney, do you have more information as to what this is and why this is needed in terms of curfew and other restrictions and regulations during civil commotions to be consistent with the state law?
I'll try to answer that for
Okay,
you,
sure.
council member. In 2023, the General Assembly changed the law on local authority to deal with civil disturbances. These changes simply make the city code consistent with the changes that were made by the state in 2023.
Okay, I was wondering what those, I remember asking questions about, I never received any update. And so when I saw it, I was wondering what, but okay, certainly I appreciate your response to that. Thank you.
Councilman, we're going to clarify. Council never, in last year's legislative package, council did not adopt any curfew changes in the city's legislative package. Right, council did not include that, and it's part of our recommended legislative package. So we didn't lobby for that, and this came from a separate action of the General Assembly.
Well, so this is a separate action.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay, everybody okay with ordinance and resolutions?
All right.
Moving on to planning, number 1, sensations, Councilman Remick.
So colleagues, staff has passed around a revised resolution for the applicant sensations for Atlantic Avenue. And pursuant to when planning presented this a couple of weeks ago to us, Councilwoman Henley asked about bicycle racks. And so staff has worked with Mr. Hanson and Ms. Warren with planning and public works with the applicant. And so they do have some solutions to that. It's contained in this as a condition to this application tonight. So this was passed around. It's items number 7 and 8 that are changes in the conditions. And that is to install a bike rack either on private or public property. If it's on public property, then it's going to adapt or adopt to the zoning ordinance for right-of-way with the sidewalks and the streets. As a part of the conditional of the permit process and granting a certificate of occupancy, that has to be agreed to with the applicant.
Okay, Jennifer?
Will the applicant be here tonight to answer questions? I'd like to talk about this, get some clarity on some things.
They probably are.
Okay, go ahead and pull it.
You want to pull it?
Yeah.
And there's no speakers on.
Thank you, Mayor.
There are?
No.
That's it. Go.
Sorry if I could make a comment. I've heard from members of the community with some questions about this, and I'm not in a position where I would feel comfortable really drilling down on what those questions are, because, I wasn't at the planning commission meeting and I didn't watch it, but I do think that we need to be mindful about this. I don't personally have the questions. I do think we do need to have a discussion about this to understand a little bit more about it.
Okay, Hutch?
Sir, I'm not sure if I need to say anything here, but if it's all supposed to be done in the diocese, I'm fine with that. But I have several questions, and most of them are dealing with safety. So
Okay.
that's what it is. I can go through them now, or I can wait.
We're going to pull it.
We'll
Yes,
have
ma'am.
the chat at
So
the
that's what we
times.
did. Copy
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
So number 2, District 5, Dong. I haven't heard anything, so it's a consent. Number 3, Virginia Wesleyan University.
Approval.
Council lady. Number 4, Irvin Juan Morales Lopez.
Yeah, approval as well.
Number 5, George Cuddle, George Joseph. District 5, that's in consent. Number 6, Brandon Shaw, District 7.
Confirm for consent. I haven't had any opposition at this point.
Number Siren, Art Studio, District 8. Planning recommended approval. Mr. Taylor's not here. Has anybody spoken to Mr. Taylor about this? Put on consent then. Number 8, Cecilia Patterson, District 8. Anyone here, anything about this? Number 9, 915C Pacific, that's District 5, consent. 10 is Mario Joa.
Consent, please.
All righty, the chair will entertain a motion to recess into a closed session pursuant to the exemptions from open meeting allowed by section 2.23711A Code of Virginia as amended for the following purposes: publicly held property, discussions or considerations of the acquisition of real property for public purpose, or of the disposition of publicly held property, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to section 2.23711A3. District 2, again District 2, again District 2, and again District 2.
Wow,
District 2.
And you'll wonder why I'm so concerned.
Okay, District 5, District 6. Okay, public contract, discussion of the award of public contract involved in the expenditure of public funds and discussions, of the terms or scope of such contract, where discussion in an open meeting session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiation strategy of the public body pursuant to 2.23711A29. And that would be Pembroke redevelopment project. And then legal matters, consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by the public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel pursuant to section 2.23711A8, and that is the Department of Justice ADA audit. Okay, do I have a motion?
Second.
All righty.
Councilmember Lucci.
Aye.
Councilmember Henley. Councilmember Hudson.
Aye.
Councilmember Salmon.
Aye.
Councilmember Rouse.
Aye.
Councilmember Shulman.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor. Councilmember Reed.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wilson.
Aye.
Mayor Dyer.
Aye.
Tim Zi.
Okay, we are recessed into closed, and if we